The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He
very
missed
close.
the complete. That is crazy
Side by
stuff.
side, Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Lime Rock Park saw newer faces and old champions each take the top step of the podium in the Conti Series, but the tight bullring confines of the Connecticut track is in great contrast to the long straights of Road America and Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Traffic should be far less of a problem, but the draft will likely keep the racing as close as ever. Get ready to watch exciting Round 7 of the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak. With me in the booth covering the GS class tonight is Bill Soup Zahn. And our eye in the sky for the ST cars is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes acting as director is Giancarlo Lindsay, and his cameras have been provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, this place has been on the Conti calendar since the very first season, and it always seems to throw up some unpredictable races. Tell us about the circuit.
Well, Joe, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, well, it's been on this calendar here for CESCS since the beginning, but it's been here since 1950. Welcome to the virtual grounds of America's National Park of Speed, Road America. We're here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin today. Got a great race on hand for you folks. 4.048 miles around this track, 14 turns. It's going to be a 2.5-hour race today. Probably see we're going to see one driver change here today, and this track has a lot of interesting spots to get around. We're going to throw it to the lap guide and let you all take a look at how we get around Road America.
All right, getting ready to do a lap around Road America with Kevin Brown and the Mustang. Coming onto the front straightaway here, that final corner has a very important exit because as you can see this huge hill, you want to have as much momentum to carry up it as possible. Coming across the start-finish line. Now coming up to this first corner, it can be a passing zone, but it's relatively tricky because it's still a somewhat fast corner. You're going to brake right before those 3 cones. And then again, carry momentum through. Be careful not to take grass on the exit as it can spin you onto the inside wall there. Now coming up and braking for turn 3 here. This is another corner with an extremely important exit because it leads onto this long straightaway, the moraine sweep, that is going to be one of the best passing zones on this course. Now coming down here, there's a couple corners such as 3A and 4. They're kind of non-corners, they're just kind of bends here. Coming up to the final braking zone, just before that 2 marker, very hard, and turn it in. Now don't get too greedy on the curbs here on the exit because if you get a little bit of grass, you'll get a 1X. Now coming over the crest here, your car's going to go light. It can be very easy to lock up the brakes. Again, carry your momentum around this left-hander of turn 6. Then just a little bit of a lift through 7, this fast kink that takes you into the hurry downs. Now this left-hander can also be another passing zone if you get a good run on someone. But regardless, it's going to dump you into the carousel here. So obviously you don't need to get too good of an exit, but you're going to play with the throttle, you're going to balance the car on the throttle around this corner. And obviously it takes a lot of patience, it takes a long time to get around here, but you want to get as much momentum as you can out of that corner as well. It's going to lead you onto the back straightaway. And again, very fast right-hander, just a little bit of a lift. The kink is known for taking many a good men out of a race. Down the kettle bottoms, up towards Canada Corner. Now this is going to be the other good passing opportunity that you're going to see on this lap. Brake very hard into this right-hander. And there's a lot of curb to take, but it's deceiving because if you take too much, it just stops and you head into the grass. And then you can take this left-hander flat out if you're good, if you get the right entry, and that's going to take into the final corner. Again, it's more important to get the exit right than the entry here, and hopefully coming onto the front straightaway here, you got a good run on the guy in front of you, and you can attempt to make a pass into one as you come up the hill. But that's a lap around Road America. So you can see it's a fairly long lap, even in the higher power GS class in these Mustangs. So expect the any cautions that we have to cause some very long pace laps around here. So, Bill, we're on round 7 now. What's the championship looking like?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. We'll start off by looking at the GS Point Championship. Now, thanks to Todd Hanzareko and Jeff Jacobs' victory at Lime Rock, Torque Chicken Racing has turned a 3-point deficit into an 11-point lead over Blackadder Motorsports. Hanzareko is back today, but this time he's teamed up with Patrick Bieri to battle against Blackadder combo of Marco Abate and Christian Challoner. Now, if Steve Brown can turn over a clean car to his anchor of Brian Strodbeck, look for Turn 2 Motorsports, who currently sits in third place, to be in the hunt not only for the checker flag, but to, move up in the standings. KLM drivers of Kevin Ford, Liam Hackworth, and Michael Burgett, it's going to be hard-pressed for them to hang with these teams who are above them. Playing the role of spoilers, though, are the guys in 49 Motorsports with the number 049 Bravo machine of Amjad Yaman has teamed up for a second time with Dan Rash. And in the 490 Delta team, Yuri Yanis has jilted Yaman to team up with fellow Finn Antti Tuominen. So look for that. Those guys are going to be tough. Let's quickly look at the GS individual standings. We don't have graphics for these, but you won't see anything of the big names that close out the races and anchor for the checker flags at the top. Thanks to consistent results from Marco Abate, he sits at the top. Now, the next position I'm hesitant to use the C word that is so often associated with driver swaps and individual standings. But to be honest, Jeff Jacobs and Liam Hackworth have managed to coattail their way, that's the C word I was talking about, to the podium positions there. Now, in the S-Team team division, they call themselves the Australasian Invasion. They are the duo of James Stevenson and Tomoki Kono, who teamed up to push the Asbury Motorsports car number 426 to the top of the standings. They're 26 points back is number 449 machine of 49 Motorsports. Now, all season long, that car has been driven by committee with more people controlling it than Sybil. Today, Deuce Allen and Julian Affray are scheduled behind the wheels. Now, the Aussie posse of Richard Losper and Sonny Ketchum has filled out the podium for AMS. Looking at the individual standings for the little Miatas there, it's all AMS. It's Kono, Stevenson, Losper, and George Britton has the stranglehold as all four of those AMS drivers own the top 4 spots there. So viewers, let me tell you, do it now. Get your popcorn popped and buttered. Get your drinks filled and icy, because we have some unscripted drama coming your way, and you're not going to want to miss a second of it. Now let me throw it back to my partner, Joe. And on behalf of Sean, let me say how relieved we are to have you back in the big seat, my friend, for today's race.
We always like having Sean here. It gives us some good perspective out in those ST cars. But let's talk about real quick, since we got just a little bit of time left, some of the passing zones and the danger zones. Passing zones, they certainly are not at a premium around here, Sean. There are plenty of them, it seems.
Yeah, well, obviously getting down into turn 1, you've got a lot of room to get that done there, and turn 5, you've got an opportunity there as well. Down the Moraine sweep and into 5 there's a pretty good advantage there. You can get an advantage there. Hurry Downs and into Canada Corner as well. Those are 2 really good spots. That trip between 7 and 8 through Hurry Downs can really can make a difference. You can maybe get some passing there and through Kettle Bottoms there. That's a really fast section of the course into Canada Corner into 12 there. Those are your really good opportunities here. And of course down the front straight there, Road America straight across the start finish line. That's a really long straight down into 1, but again, those are your real passing opportunities here. Lots of speed here, Joe.
Definitely a place of speed with these long straightaways. Although that can cause a few problems, Bill, especially with some of the trickier corners and the longer braking zones.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting, especially I think the draft is going to play a big factor in today's race with some of the long straightaways here. I know we're about to go to grid. Maybe more so for the Mustangs. And one thing that we need to talk about maybe as the race goes on, we were at Lime Rock last week where there was a lot of lack traffic, and it it was Mustang on Mustang crime. I mean, Miata on Miata crime. You were lapping cars in your own class. Here, you maybe not see that so much because the track's so big. It's going to be basically the classes trying to get around each other. But I think the draft's going to play a big effect with, those Mustangs. It's kind of like, Joe, when you take out the trash or your wife takes out the trash. The trash cans weigh the same, but they probably feel heavier to her. It's the same with these Mustangs. They have so much horsepower that the wind is not as heavy to them as they are in those little Miatas where it seems like sometimes you get those Miatas on the straightaway, you get tucked in behind somebody, it's like, whew, boy, that wind is not nearly pushing back on me so much.
Well, it might be heavier for your wife, but my wife was a collegiate athlete, so it probably feels heavier for me than for her, unfortunately. Looks like the checkered flag is out, but guys are still finishing their hot laps out in qualifying, so things can still change, and obviously we want to make sure that we get everything right for who is starting the car, so we're going to wait just a little bit longer before reading off the qualifying order. As well, one thing to worry about besides that draft is a few of the danger zones around this circuit. The breaking down into 5, long braking zone, and in traffic, especially on restarts and on the first start of the race, it is not uncommon to see accidents there. Turn 6 is another one right after turn 5, coming up over that crest. It's very easy to get that wrong. And of course, the infamous kink. The kink, Bill. Even in these slower cars, it is just terrifying.
Man, if there is I don't know of a more frightening corner than that. I don't know why. It's just when I get nervous just sitting in my simulated cockpit. Man, it must be something to really do that for real.
Yeah, I can only imagine what series like IMSA and the prototype cars, what it must be like going through there and just trusting that the car is going to stick. Well, as the last of the cars complete their laps, I'm looking down to see if there's any other notes that we should mention. I know you talked about Amjad Yaman and Dan Rash being paired together. Great pairing, incredibly fast, incredibly consistent pairing. But they might be looking to basically redeem themselves from the last time out at Mossport.
Yeah, my goodness, the Mustangs are just loaded with... It's really going to be a case of getting the cars clean to your anchor drivers. I'm not sure who's going to anchor there. I think we decided that Dan Rash was going to drive and Amjad was going to start. But there's Rash, Strodbeck is here, Hanzarenko is here today. The names at the end of this race and the Mustangs are going to be big. And then of course Sean in the Miatas. That duo of Kono and Stevenson, they're tough.
Yeah, it will be time to wake the sleeping dragon that is Tomoki Kono and get him up from his nap and see what he can do today. But that combo is strong, man, and that's going to be something to watch today for sure.
Kono's certainly providing with enough nicknames for himself. Sleeping Dragon. I also like the Shinkansen. He's basically the bullet train to me, if you ask me. Just we saw it at Lime Rock Park. He was almost untouchable with how he could wheel that car around.
Yeah, I know, and briefly as they're gridding up, we talked about it last race, at least I did. Sometimes drivers get a reputation, they come in, and we talk about Kono being aggressive. But honestly, I think we need to shake that. What we've seen from him recently is he's calculating. He sits back and he bides his time. He's fast, but he is smart.
Very much so. So you can see the car starting to line up on the grid as all the plans are being settled between teammates, making sure that they've got the right setup in the car, enough fuel is in the car, and that the right person is getting into that car. If you're new to this series and to iRacing's team racing, it is actually 2 different physical people that are going to be swapping out and driving that car, some of them on different sides of the world even, that they are trading places in. So it is a wonderful, fantastic feature that they've introduced on their iRacing that's made the racing here in the Conti Series all the more dynamic. So as they grid up, I'm trying to double check to make sure that we've got the right people in the car and on the grid. We're still waiting for our first 2 guys to hop in there and confirm, although I'm pretty sure that we know that our pole sitter is going to be starting with Steve Brown in the car, if I'm not mistaken. There, it looks like our second place on the front row, 49 car is on there. Now we've got our pole sitter up there. Let's go through the grid. Brian Strodbeck. Oh, so I was wrong. It's a good thing I waited. Brian Strodbeck is going to start for Turn 2 Motorsports. Interesting. He's usually the faster driver. So as the pace car is getting ready to take off just now for the pace lap, we're going to have Brian Strodbeck on the pole. 49 Motorsports is going to have Amjad Yaman start that car in 49B. Then Torque Chicken Racing starts in third with Patrick Bieri kicking it off. Blackadder Motorsports, number 66 car, is going to have Christian Challoner start there. Then we've got the 49 Motorsports D car with Antti Tuominen, a face that we used to see in previous season. He is back now in the Mustangs. He is going to start in fifth. Then in sixth, we've got KLM Racing starting with Kevin C. Ford. Turn 2 Motorsports has a second car today, and Sean Vandergriff is going to kick it off and hand it off later to Kevin Brown. They're starting in 7th. In 8th, we have Bad Cactus Racing, the green team. They're starting with Anthony Woodward in the car. Then it's Blackadder Motorsports, number 67 in 9th, and that is John King starting that car. Then in 10th, rounding out the top 10, Slow Johnson Racing. Bill is starting it off with George Johnson in the car.
For Klansman Racing in the 11th spot, it's Jason Breifogel. In the 12th position for Bad Cactus Racing, Jason, here's my French, Pousson. Is that how we're pronouncing that one,
yes,
Joe?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Then in the Baker's Dozen spot, I get all the good ones. Nicholas Agostiniak. I think I got that one right, too, there. He's racing for NRG Racing. Then we get to our pole sitters. And look at this. Our pole sitter in the Miata, Sean, is Dries Nice. So it's nice to see him up there. In the 15th position is Sonny Ketchen. In the second row now, there you have that the Australasian invasion, they're calling it. James Stevens is going to start that team off there. In the 17th position, Julian Affray. And then Team Potato, that's, I guess, Australia, has Dylan France in the 18th spot. 19th spot is Jonathan Auger for Turn 2 Motorsports. And in the 20th spot is 49 Motorsports, Chris Hewson. Sean?
And in 21st, SAR Racing, that'll be Ernest Petruris in that, Ernest Pretorius in that car in 21st. Asbury Motorsports, the number 14 entry. George Britton will be starting off today in BWR Racing, 23rd. That'll be Matthew Reinhold. And the last car, 11 entries in the ST class today, Torque Chicken Racing 2, David Wemmond.
That is your grid for round 7 here at Road America of the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series, sponsored by Safecraft Racing, maker of real-world safety gear for motorsports. So as they work their way around the carousel now to that infamous kink that we're talking about, it surprises me that they're putting Strodbeck in the car, Bill, but maybe you could explain to our viewers why we're so surprised about that, like what the strategy is as far as who you pick your anchor.
Well, a lot of times the driver changes come at the yellow flag where everyone's caught up together. So much of the time, if you put your fast guy out there first, and I don't mean to downgrade the anchor of this team, but if you, all the work that your hot shoe can do in the beginning can be wiped away by a yellow flag. You really want him at the end. So that's interesting that they're going to do that. You know, something else, Sean, that I want to talk about. What about Team Potato Belgium on the pole for those Miatas?
Well, they're a dark horse. They're generally they're here to pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
But today they are certainly a contender up there, and if they can stay up there in that clean air and start the catch the draft of those GS cars, he's in good shape. But yeah, great job by Team Potato Belgium there, and Dries Nice starting off this race. Great job for them to get that up there on the pole.
Dries certainly found some speed somewhere and has toppled the two giant teams that have been dominating. That's Asbury Motorsports and 49 Motorsports. But pace car coming up to the entry, ducks off into pit lane. Strodbeck has got the field under his control, waiting for the green flag. Everybody bunching up at the start. A long time. There's the green flag. Now he can accelerate away. Not a very good start for Strodbeck. Yaman is holding on the outside. In fact, it looks like he's marginally quicker. Meanwhile, in third place, Patrick Bieri already coming up and bump drafting Strodbeck slightly. They're nose to nose. Amjad Yaman is better under the brakes. Can he take the lead on the first corner? Not quite. They're still side by side. The lead is still under contention for the GS class. We're going to get to ST in just a moment. Amjad Yaman better on the brakes once again. Can he get it? No, they're still side by side, but we need to go to the ST class now.
Yeah, well, Kanchan has already flown right past Dries Nice, and Kanchan is got himself up in first place. That start by the ST class wasn't very good. They got really, really spread out. Somebody came on the radio and said something about it. I don't know if the marshals will be looking at that, but right now we've got a battle going on for third and fourth place in the class right now, as we've got James Stevenson now fighting right here, and he's coming up on the outside.
Oh my
got
goodness!
Julian Alford right inside of him.
They're still going at it in the Mustangs. They've been they're side by side for a whole lap.
They have not left each other's side. Now we've got Stradbeck finally nosing ahead. They did not leave each other's side, in a big slide from Stradbeck coming through into the hurried downs. But finally they're getting single file. There's a little bit of a battle going on behind, and that is for fourth position. Kevin Ford on the outside as Christian Challoner sends it up the inside of the hurried downs, but it switches back for the carousel. Is he able to carry the speed? Challoner's not giving up. Ford still on the inside. These guys are going to have to settle it before they get to the kink, Bill.
Yeah, Ford in that citrus-colored car there. He was able to run really well last week at Lime Rock. It looks like he's going to be able to settle into, that's going to be fourth position now. These guys need to settle down a little bit. Boy, that was an exciting first lap.
I can't believe they stayed side by side that entire time, fighting so hard on the first lap of the race. And I guess it was critical for Stradbeck because he is already starting to stretch away.
I think Yaman might have known that if I let him, this is my opportunity to maybe have the lead now. Now, we talked about him anchoring. We're assuming that he has a partner. Sometimes these guys have to solo it because their partner either is late coming in. I think it's Steve Brown that's scheduled to drive the anchor. So hopefully he'll be here.
Yeah, Steve Brown should be here for Stradbeck as he goes a little bit wide on the exit of the final corner, but definitely starting to stretch that gap, already almost a second back to Yaman and that 49 Motorsports Mustang. Let's jump back to the ST real quick because it sounded like you had a bit of action going on, Sean.
Yeah, well, Canchin's going to be your leader here on this lap, and Drees Knees just didn't get a really good start there. He'll find himself in second place. The battle right now is for third and fourth. Right now, James Stevenson battling it out.
That's Jonathan Auger in the other Turn 2 Motorsports machine. He's now on the inside as they head down to the first corner. Not a whole lot of braking. It's a relatively fast corner, but he gets it done as Stevenson gives it up early in the stages of the race.
Yeah, and just behind him there, Dylan Francis. Got to watch out for him now. He's all over the bumper.
Team Potato Australia looking to see if he can crack into the top four here as he looks on the back of Stevenson there. They're now 1, 2, 3 in third, fourth, and fifth in the ST class. Stevenson has a good draft, got a great exit out of turn 3. Coming down the moraine sweep, he looks to the inside, and it looks like Auger might just be letting him through, knowing that it's not worth battling this hard, and maybe a bit faster using the draft in these early stages here, Sean.
Yep, definitely using that draft, and also coming into this picture now is Chris Houston in the 49 Motorsports car. He's now in this picture as well. A nice little battle going on up here up front already.
Chris Houston seems to be coming good in these midway season races. I remember early on, he has a bobble coming through that right-hand kink there. I remember at Daytona, it seemed like he was a little bit off the pace, which surprised me because he's known as one of the faster drivers in these slower-paced cars all around the iRacing service. But now he is really coming to the fore in these MX-5s.
Yeah, it really is. Again, early on here, already showing what he's got, making a strong charge to catch this pack. Again, like I said, the start was kind of funky. Cars got really spread out. The top four got away, and then everybody got stuck behind, and Houston was one of those who did. He's made up a lot of ground here pretty quick.
And in the meantime, just ahead of him, you see a little bit of action going on between Auger and Francis. Wildly different lines coming through the kink there. Now Francis looks to the inside in Canada corner. Auger gives him room. A lot of room, actually. And they're going to be side by side now as they head up to 14. And it looks like Auger's going to come out on top. But sounds like we've got action with Ford over in the Mustang class.
Well, it was close. Ford has now dropped a position, but I was going to say that's where the action is. But we're going to go back to the front here. Yaman has been able to run down Stradbeck. Now, I got the news from that Steve Brown is here to drive today, so he's going to anchor, so that's going okay. I misspoke, or at least I was misinformed when we talked about Yuri Yanis was going to do an anchor. He's not here today, so his driver's going soloing. And also we have solos from Vandergriff is also soloing. But look at that battle up front. Yaman's able to hold ground right behind Strodbeck.
That draft seems to be helping him a little bit. I know it's not as powerful in the Mustangs, but he's not letting him get away. And look at that, under braking, Patrick Bieri starts to close up as he goes wide, though. And another car going wide is Kevin Ford.
Yeah,
and loses.
Ford's been dropping. He was running in third. He's dropping. He's dropping like a pigeon.
He lost positions to Antti Tuominen and Christian Challoner, so that moves him all the way down to 6th place. So not a good start for Ford.
But a pretty car.
A lemon-scented car, I guess, as you would say, Bill.
Thank you.
So, and actually that action is pretty close in that pack right now, as now we've got Tuominen looking at the back of Challoner, but he has to back off as they come into the carousel. That allows Ford to get right up back on the rear spoiler of Tuominen, but they head toward the kink, and that is going to be single file.
And Tuominen was the driver that is going to solo it. His partner was scheduled to be. He's the Finn. I thought he was scheduled to team up with Yuri Yanis, but he's going to solo it all by himself today.
Which is not unheard of in this series. They're just going to have to take a penalty during the pit stop. Look at Ford closing down into Canada corner, but he backs off before they get there. Guess he didn't think he was close enough to try and make an attempt. Let's see if he can get himself a good exit coming out of that one up into 13A. No, they're just about dead even, so it's going to stay tied as we ride on board with Ford.
You know, here in the Mustangs, the teams are so much more competitive than they are over in Sean's class, where really Asbury Motorsports is just crushing the competition over here. Here we have Turn 2 Motorsports, 49 Motorsports, Torque Chicken Racing, KLM Racing, Blackadder. They're all up there. 5 different teams running up top.
A lot of variety, that's for sure. And here you can see the draft start to pull Ford in as he closes on the bumper of Tuominen up that steep hill. Really need all the grunt they can. But once again, he's not really making any moves. So I wonder if Ford is just content to sit back knowing that those guys were outpacing him.
Yeah, he's a very patient driver. He likes to turn over clean cars too. He likes to do it. I think what's going on there is I think that Challoner's really holding up those other two drivers behind him.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me too greatly, but we won't really be able to tell until it gets later in the race and someone makes a mistake and that draft starts to pull people apart and we can get a feel for exactly what everyone's actual pace is. We head down the hill to turn 5, downhill braking zone, hard to get it perfectly right, especially this close to a car in front, but everybody just nicely hits that apex and heads it up the hill back into 6. So nobody really making any crazy moves. Sean Vandergriff pulling up the tail as he closes in on the back of Ford. We can't see him from this angle, but he is now on the back of them in that orange and white machine. So he might want to try and move up the field. In fact, I'm surprised that Vandergriff is as far down as he is. He's usually a top runner with his pace.
Yeah, and it's all him today, as we talked about before, too. So we'll see how he does. You know, Sean, what's going over there? I see Stevenson not on the pace over there for the Miatas.
No, Stevenson's kind of fallen off, but I'll tell you what, Drees Knees has caught Sonny Kanchan. He's been closing the gap just a little bit with every turn, man. Right now, Sonny Kanchan is under threat. Drees is doing all he can right now. He's, like I said, he started to really close the gap. It had opened up to about a 1 second advantage, but he's now found his way back to the bumper, looking to try and put the move on him or just stay in place. I'm not really sure, but awful competitive up here up front. Stevenson, not really sure what happened to him. He just seems to have just lost pace. Right now, he's having to worry about Francis. Francis making his way back. Francis had fallen off a little bit, but Dylan Francis now found his way back to the bumper of Stevenson. So good little battle going on up here at the front. 4 cars really slugging it out, but those front 2 starting to pull away there, Bill.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And, you know, it's funny, the Aussie Posse have switched rotations this week. They're going with Kanchan's gonna come out first, and they're going to let Richard Losper do the anchoring this week.
Now, we can see Stevenson on screen, and if we look close, I'm wondering if we can get a closer angle. There's a little bit of damage, actually, on his MX-5. I wonder if we'll have to go back and see if we can see if there was any contact on that opening lap, and maybe that's what's slowing him down. But yeah, usually Stevenson is known as one of the more hot shoes, so that could be what's causing him to start to lose distance between Nice and Kanchan. You know, one of the things that I'm curious to see as the season goes on, Sean, is we saw Stevenson and Kono, or actually I believe Stevenson and Kono are racing together this time, and those are the ones that they're battling for the championship. I think there's only like 7 points between them, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty slim, and so that is an interesting dynamic today that we're going to see unfold here. But yeah, I'm not sure what happened with Stevenson there either. I do see the damage on the front of that car. He does seem to be still pretty competitive. He's playing pretty good defense right now, at least to Dylan Francis there, and Francis not just able to really do anything with him yet. So still early days in this race. We got a lot of racing left, and certainly time to make up the lost ground to that Team Potato Belgium entry and the Asbury Motorsports 74, which Canchin's still just really doing all he can to hold off the. And here comes
we got
Nice
a pass
now.
for the
Yeah,
lead.
Nice.
Dries Nice took a look on the inside of Canchin down into 5. It was kind of a half-hearted move though. He backed out of it pretty early, it felt like.
Yeah, he certainly didn't want to risk twisting that car up. He backed off, gave up pretty gently there, and still continues to fight on. But he had a chance there. He's been working on him here for about 3 laps. Something's going to happen here soon. We'll keep an eye on it.
Go ahead, Bill.
I just got a note sent to me from Dexter Castro, who's the team captain 49 Motorsports. He was talking about Stevenson's damage. Apparently, it came courtesy of the 49 Motorsports rear bumper. So apparently those guys got together.
That'll of course cause maybe a few words of ire post-race, I'm sure.
Well, usually the guy whose rear bumper, if you have 2 bumpers that are damaged, usually it's hard to blame the guy who has the rear bumper damage.
That's true. So as we watch our 2 ST leaders, I'm wondering if maybe a little later in the race, or maybe before he gets in the car, we can get Richard Losper in the booth to talk to him about what's going to happen in the Asbury Motorsports ST team. Because, I mean, the question is, with team racing, do you keep those 2? Because Stevenson and Kono are very, very fast, and they're likely to give that car the championship if they stay in it. Do you split them apart to give each of them a fair chance to win the championship, or do you keep them together and keep giving them potentially even points? Now, they can be split by the number of incidents. Yes.
Well, what's interesting is I was going through the points. I was going, how are these guys separated? What's the deal? Well, they both have missed a race, so they both had a different partner. They both got to I can't help but think about we got a battle in the Mustangs. Maybe while I'm talking, maybe we'll go back and look at Ford here. Nice battle going on with Vandergriff. They both missed a race, so it's however they did with their partner that particular race that's separating the difference there. What's giving Kono a slight lead. Plus, incident points.
Exactly. So I don't know. Like if they, I'm really curious to see what the call is on that. What Richard decides, because he's ultimately the one in charge down there, and he can make the final call. Although I guess he could see how the 2 of them feel about it. Meanwhile, Vandergriff making progress, as you mentioned. We saw it on screen that he worked his way ahead of Tuominen. There you see him now, working his way through the carousel. Let's see if he can stretch away and start to close on Ford, get himself into the top 5 here in the GS class.
Maybe we'll take a second. We talking about Tuominen. They're running currently in 7th position. Maybe we take a second, run down some of these Mustangs while we have a chance that don't get much screen time. Let's look at 8th place there. Right now it's Anthony Woodward running there in that beautiful white and orange colored car. Back up 1 spot, John King running in 9th position there in a kind of a black and gold blue colored car. And then 1 more position back, running in 11th spot, is Jason Bifrocal there.
Hey guys, real quickly here, I got to call attention to this battle right now between Chris Houston and Jonathan Auger, man. I've been watching it for about the past lap and a half, and they have been trading positions pretty much at every turn, battling right now for 5th and 6th in class, and the fight is on. Again, it is just back and forth. Right now, Auger on the bumper of Houston. He's following him right now in his tracks. Look for him to make a move at the next turn here. He just gets that draft, sucks right up, and sticks it in there on the bottom. Is he going to do it here at the kink? Nope, he's going to wait, but I'm sure he's going to try and make a move here. He's got to. There he goes.
Now, they can potentially be faster, and you can see Auger looking to the inside down in a turn into Canada corner. Is he going to back out? Yes, he does. And that doesn't surprise me. What I was going to say is these MX-5s can slingshot, Sean, so I wonder if they're trying to think strategically here and just try and, use the draft to go faster around the track. So they're sort of battling, but also sort of helping each other.
Yeah, well, they're 5 seconds back from that group in front of them, so they still have a lot of work to do, but they are working well together. No one's gotten close enough to wreck each other, and both cars are clean, so there is a little bit of obvious work going on. But the battle has been nice to watch. It's really been fast and furious. I like how this MX-5, you can really hang it out on the ragged edge there and just kind of throw that thing in there and let it drift out. It's fun to watch.
Now, we're getting some information from the marshals, and they are actually stating themselves that the start was very spread out in ST, confirming what you were saying, Sean, and that's what allowed the huge gap between Nice and Stevenson. So I'm guessing the the damage doesn't help that, but it looks like it was a combination of factors that's caused it to be so spread out.
Yeah, well, it didn't take long. I mean, we're only 7 laps in, and the field here in ST is spread out, 30 seconds. So, definitely.
And I'm just looking at that note from the marshals. They are investigating a jump start. So that could have implications down the line.
Wow, it really could.
Wow.
That will certainly be something to keep an eye on. Auger now getting around. Auger taking that position away from Houston. They swapped it again.
Joe, let's follow up on that for a little bit. There's not much going on in the Mustangs. I'm not sure. How could you jump the start if you're the leader of the MX-5? It's already a green flag. Are you supposed to lay back until you've come around the final corner? Or what do you think?
They call the start separately for the two classes.
Oh, do they?
Yes. So the ST drivers get a call from the marshals separate from the iRacing green flag. So that's why they can call a jump start on that. And that would have been Nice, who was leading the way, although I guess it could have gone to Cancian if he went too soon as well. Let's go to the leaders, actually, because it's getting very tight as we got a car halfway off the track. Dries Nice looking to the outside, coming down the kettle bottoms, but it switches back to the inside for Sonny Cancian, and he's going to hold it coming through Canada corner. Guys are getting feisty up at the front here in ST class.
Oh, they're just out for a Saturday afternoon drive, having a little bit of fun.
Air in their hair if they had their helmets off, I guess. We ride on board with Nice now. Second place driver in the ST. I know it says 15th, but that is the overall. And you'll start to see that draft really come into play here. Just reeling in visibly, you can see him close up. Let's see if he makes a move down into one. He's got a good run going to the middle of the track. Sonny Cancian goes defensive, gonna make him go around the outside, and he backs out of it before they hit the braking.
I don't want to jinx anything here, but we're 20 minutes into this thing. Has been very clean so far, other than that little dust up with Stevenson.
I think because this track has been a part of the series for so long, Bill, I think a number of drivers are starting to know how to play the game. They know that draft is going to keep them in tow as long as they stay with it until, I'm going to guess, wait until the last half hour of this race, and then it's going to come alive.
See, and that you have to take, this series has yellow flags where the bunch is up the field and you can come in and plan your pit stops. You know, the Mustangs are looking at probably two stops. The way I like to say it is the Miatas probably will take 2, but they can do it on 1, and the Mustangs will most likely take 2, but they might need 3. Without yellow flags play a big decision making on driver swaps and when you're going to come in for pit stops. And if it's going to run green, and I got a hunch, again, I'm knocking on wood here, this might be some long green runs with this big track.
I've got word from the marshals. This is official word. They decided not to black flag the number 77 since he technically didn't accelerate too soon, but that he will be protested because he was doing about 80 and the pace speed was 55 for the last 3 corners. So they were just going a little too hot for the marshals' taste, but nothing, I guess, technically wrong in the book.
Yeah, and I think he let up there at the end, realized he was probably too fast, and that's when Kanchan really took advantage there around the left side there and made his way up the straight.
Yeah, but I got a question. If I'm in the second row, rules be darned at that point. I mean, if I see the leaders take off, I got to go with them, I would think. So I don't know how much. I guess it has a lot to do with it, but you got to stay with the guys ahead of you.
Yeah, no, I don't blame everybody for speeding up with them. You didn't want to lose contact. But right now we're looking at James Stevenson, who is currently running in fourth. He's been overtaken by Dylan Francis. Francis has got a cleaner car from what I can see. So let's see if maybe they pick up the pace a little with Francis pulling along Stevenson in tow now.
Well, Francis just picked that spot up, Joe, just before you went to him there. He had just gotten around Stevenson. Stevenson's still keeping it close right now, but Francis, after several laps of working on Stevenson, finally able to get around him there. And as they get up the straight, it does seem like that gap tends to maybe open up just a little bit. Now Stevenson's on the come. He's got the draft, so let's see what's going to happen here at turn one.
Stevenson closing in down towards turn one. I don't think he's going to go for it. He's too far back.
Yeah.
Stay in line of stern.
You know, it does seem like that the closing rate not too good for him. That arrow on the front could be affecting that, Joe.
Now, we can stay on this, but if it starts to erupt, we can jump over. Real quick, I want to talk to Bill about that lead.
Oh, it's heating up front here. Kanchan,
yep.
Kanchan having to fight off the charge from Drees Nice.
Nice up to the outside, coming down to turn 5. Excellent passing zone. He could still do it if he outbrakes him, but no, he brakes early. Is he going to try for the over-under? Doesn't have the room. Oh, he might still have it. Tries to carry the momentum. Can't get the over-under. Still on the outside. Kanchan staying just ahead as they get to turn 6. There's a very circumspect attempt there from Drees Nice.
I didn't know where you were going with that for a second there, Joe, but I got it now. Okay, yeah, great. Great battle, really great battle. I mean, it's lap 9, Joe. We're just about 30 minutes into this thing, and these guys are battling like it's the last 30 right now.
Could have said circumnavigate as well.
Yes.
So, Drees Nice still trying to challenge for that lead in ST. We've been seeing this pretty much since the start as these two have been stretching away. Currently, the gap between second and third, that would be Nice and Francis, is just about 5 seconds. So these guys have definitely been able to stretch it just a little bit. But let's stay on this in case it erupts again. But I wanted to talk about the lead and GS with Bill, because it seems like it's fluctuating, but not a whole lot. So I wonder if Amjad is just kind of, let's go to that C word again, riding the coattails of Strodbeck.
Yeah, well, you know, Yaman, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. And this season has just been pretty much a nightmare. He has a win under his belt when he teamed up with Yuri Yanis. But other than that, it's just been sometimes unfortunate, sometimes just bad judgment. Right now, I think these guys, excuse me, everybody really in the Mustangs are just out for a nice Sunday drive a day early here. They're just holding position. Yaman is just back there. And I'm thinking if I'm on Jed Yaman and I have a chance to be within shouting distance of Strodbeck come driver swap time, I've done my job. I mean, that's if he can turn this over to Dan Rash without Strodbeck having ran away with it, then I think that team's in really good shape, because Rash is something else. And I really thought Strodbeck would be mixed up in there when we had Hans Zarenko out there. We'd see Hans Zarenko, Strodbeck, and Rash. But with Strodbeck out there now, that really puts pressure on Brown to hold the lead when those really fast guys get out there.
Well, it's already starting to get interesting because they just lapped Matthew Reinhold. He's the last car on track for the ST class at the moment. I see Julian Offray is about 8 laps down, but I'm not sure what happened. We'll have to see if we can figure out why Julian is not out on track. So we've already got traffic. It's a little bit later than we're used to. It's almost half an hour into this race, but it could still come into play. Could be an opportunity for Strodbeck to start to stretch away if he can hit traffic right.
Offray is back on track. Lots of damage, though, on that 49 Motorsports entry. That car is pretty beat up. Not sure exactly what happened. I'll go run back and take a look and see if I can find it.
While Sean is looking at that, we're looking at Julian on track at the moment, although he's not battling with anything. So let's jump back to our GS leaders, because for a while it was down to 0.3 of a second between Yaman and Strodbeck. Not enough for him to try and make a challenge for the lead, but still getting a little bit closer. Before it was hanging between half a second and a second. Now it's just hovering under half a second. So Yaman either able to use the traffic to close in, or he's just started to turn it up.
Nah, he's just been running with them. And, if we take this another step farther, let's really play out the strategy idea here. This is a 2.5 hour race where maybe if you spend 2.5 hours in somebody's draft, that's going to be considerable amount of fuel, and that's less time you have to take at that last pit stop. So maybe he's just playing the long game.
I was thinking about that, and we call Amjad the doctor, and it gets thrown around a lot, but he really is a thinker's driver.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, our marshals are being extra helpful today. We got some information from them that the number 449 actually spun on lap 1 in Canada Corner. I don't know if you've already spotted that or not, Sean.
Yeah, no, you know what? He was off track early because right now only 2 laps in the book, so obvious trouble there for him. But Offray is now back on the track and racing.
I just found it, and he got into Stevenson. He got into Stevenson on lap 1. So Stevenson
is he the one that Stevenson rear-ended?
No, Stevenson got in with his left. Stevenson's left front.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but our ST lead is changing hands once again. It's Dries Nice up to the front.
Dries powering that machine into the corner. He's got the position.
And if I'm not mistaken, he did it around the outside of turn 1. That was an impressive stuff from the Belgian.
Yeah, now he's got to fight off this charge here, though. Kanchan not happy with that. He wants it back. Looking to maybe pull off another move as he heads around the outside.
Side by side down into turn 5. This time it's reversed rolls as it's Kanchan. Around the outside, he tries to turn in, but he can't as he's got Dries there. Dries goes just a little bit wide, but he's able to hold on to the lead.
Again, these two just continue to fight every lap, every corner, Joe.
Now, I'm trying to make sure that I'm calling it right because I'm seeing that Antoine Mays is the Belgian driver. Is Dries Nice Belgian or is he Danish? I'm trying to make sure I get this correct.
Yeah, memory serves him as being... I don't think he's Belgium. I don't think he is. So he may be from...
We'll have to see if we
maybe?
can...
Well, he's from the Benelux region. I'm not exactly sure where that would be, though. He could be Danish.
I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there were some communication problems with the steward of why he maybe jumped the gun. But I've seen him in the forums, and he's really funny. He has a good command of English, at least written wise.
He always gives us some good post-race summaries for the MWTS, but right now this battle's still going on board with Sonny Kanchan, looking to the outside, almost makes contact with the side of Dries Nice down into Canada Corner. These guys have really decided it's time to go. They've still got 2 hours left. Still side by side. Oh, this is a tough one to go side by side. Dries decides he is not going to fight this hard and gives it up to Sonny.
Yeah, probably a pretty wise thing to do right there. Not a great spot on the track to have to make a move there. Not a lot of room to do it.
I'm trying to look and see if there was contact. They were oh so close down into the braking of Canada. We were on board with Sonny as we watched it happen, so it was hard to tell. But not much loss for Dries as he backed out of it because now he's got the draft. We're going to look at the replay, see if we can watch it in slow-mo and see if we can pick this up. Oh, we'll have to jump back a little bit farther here. Nothing going on with them live
Auger
right now.
and Houston still fighting.
Nope,
Auger.
it looks like there was no contact. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I'm just saying, Auger and Houston fighting, and Houston winning that battle right now. He's got that car in front into the turn there. Houston able to pull it off. That's a battle right there. Those two can't get away from each other right now. They are stuck like Chuck, boys.
And wow, look at the gap between themselves and Stevenson. Almost 15 seconds between 4th and 5th at the moment in the ST class. You want to talk about some speed of the leaders. That is a significant gap in a half hour's time. In fact, that's about a half a second a lap, if I'm not mistaken.
I want to follow up on. I was stepped away there for a second. I wanted to review this. We won't be able to give you a replay because it's too far back on lap 1. There was between Stevenson and Offrey, and it wasn't pretty. Stevenson tried to make a move on the inside, and there just wasn't room. And Offrey's race was ruined, and Deuce Allen is scheduled to do the anchor on that one. They were going to be tough, so I'm sorry we didn't get that for you, but the stewards are going to have fun looking at that one.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up the fact that a lap 1 accident messed up things for John Allen again.
Yeah, he didn't have anything to do with it.
I was going to say, he's not even in the car. Yeah. So for those not familiar with this series, poor John Allen, as well as this series in the MX5 World Tour, seems to have problems where if something happens on lap 1, it probably happens to poor John Allen. And it's not usually his fault. But if he gets past that, he is just a demon in the car. And meanwhile, Chris Hewson is looking pretty hot right now, too, as he looks to the inside coming down to Canada Corner. Excuse me, not Chris Hewson. That was Auger that made the move. But, he overshoots the corner by some margin.
Yeah, and Hewson's right there. He's right there. He's right on him.
I'm amazed that Hewson was not able to take that back. He might have backed out of it, because he should have really just been able to slingshot right past him on the exit there.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe he worried about him coming back across the track right there. That car was a little upset, and maybe he thought better to just lay off a little bit. It hasn't lost significant ground. That battle's going to continue to rage on until they switch drivers. I'm afraid, Joe. That one has been the most consistent battle of the day right there, and got a Mustang coming up behind here now. They're going to have to deal with Strodback. Here's Strodback in the picture. Moving to the inside. He's going to get by clean as they head down to 1.
He's going to get by clean, but Amjad Yaman is not. In fact, that gap has opened up at some point down the line. Bill, did you see what caused them to separate?
No, it's just Yaman's just a little bit off pace there. As we have our first MX-5 coming in there. Petrosius is coming in for a pit stop. A little early, I would think.
Well, those can usually, as now we see Yaman working his way, and he's going to split these two. Usually these MX-5s can make a little over an hour. He's going to have to make 2 stops. So I think he should be able to make it on one more stop after this.
Well, we've seen the MX-5s one stop it. I don't think they can one stop it here because I think this track is so fast. I don't.
Yeah, they're flat to the floor for quite a while.
So if that's the case, if they have to 2-stop it, then that certainly would be in the window.
That gap between our GS leaders is now up to 2.2 seconds. So Strodbeck starting to pull away and be able to get away from Amjad Yaman for essentially the first time this race. I think the largest we've seen it was just over a second earlier on in the first half hour of this thing. So this could be critical for Strodbeck. But, knock on wood, haven't seen a caution yet. Could still close things up later on.
Okay, now guys, here's what's happened. That the Mustang leaders came through, the GSs came through, and now that breakaway of 2, Kanchan and Nice has now been closed, and now Francis and Stevenson are in the picture, guys. They are in the picture and soon to be battling for those top 2 positions.
That must have been a significant inconvenience for our 2 leaders then, because last time I looked, it was 5 seconds between Nice and Francis, and now it's down to 1.2.
Not anymore. Yes, sir. There was a little trouble navigating that traffic there.
So we can see our 3rd place driver, the pink and green machine of Dylan Francis for Team Potato. And this is, let's see, that is the Australian one, is it? Trying to double check on that.
I think I'll look at my chart too here.
It's 99. That is... Yes, that is the Australian
That would be
one.
Australia. That is the Australian entry, yes. And that's running the, what is that, the SpongeBob Patrick machine there, yes.
I forgot about that. As soon as you said that, I spotted the eyes on the front of him. And there you can see both of them in shot with the Patrick car and the SpongeBob car, currently holding down 2nd and 3rd in our ST class. And Francis is really gaining ground, now down to under a second between himself and his teammate Nice. And boy, I think Cancian is going to be in trouble there if those two catch him. He's going to have two of the Team Potato cars hassling him at that point. In fact, we've got a bit of a sandwich going on here, Sean, because we've got AMS in the lead and AMS in fourth, and in between, it's two Team Potato cars. Meanwhile, we have to go back to Chris Houston in sixth before we get a Team 49 car. This is unusual in the ST class.
49's a bit off today. I have to say, I'm a little surprised by their pace right now. Maybe the pit stops will help that and the driver changes, but I got to say, they are a bit off today. Shout out to, we talked about Team Potato being a possible dark horse going into this today, and right now Team Potato Belgium is that dark horse. Dries Nice obviously put it on the pole and has managed to hang on here, and we're not quite there to that pit stop yet, but things looking pretty good for Team Potato Belgium right now.
Dexter Castro is going to yell at me post-race on this one, the captain of 49 Motorsports. I think one of the issues they've had, they have so much talent, but they've had trouble getting consistency about putting teams together. There's not a lot of chemistry. It's a lot of like an all-star team there rather than you don't know who you're racing with each week. So I don't know if that has a lot to do with how successful you are, but it seems like it might.
Well, we've actually got Dexter waiting in the ready for interview room. Do you want to bring him in, see if we can talk to him about their pace?
I'd like to ask him that question if scrambling around. So let's see if we can bring him in.
We've got Dexter Castro with us here in the booth. Dexter, can you hear us?
Indeed I can, yep.
Dexter, I was just talking about the challenges you have for 49 Motorsports. You have a lot of talent, but you've really had to scramble to get any kind of continuity on your teams a lot, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've always had a little bit of trouble with trying to get consistent participation on the GS side, but actually that's kind of been stable this season, other than having to make Frankenstein out of Dan and JD. This year it's just been, I think I just got caught out by how aggressively the Asbury guys went out and recruited. I thought we'd be sitting pretty well to have two strong cars, and they've just gone out and gotten crazy guys for older cars. So I think we got a little catching up to do in the next off season.
Yeah, well, Joe was talking about it earlier about the Kono-Stevenson combination, and we were wondering if you think Asbury's going to keep them together since they're battling for the championship. It kind of makes it strange to be in a championship battle with your teammate. As you as a team owner, would you consider splitting them up?
Well, I'm just gonna say as their rivals that I hope they. I hope
Split them
they.
up, huh?
No. I hope they stay together because there's actually a combo that I would not like to see them roll out.
Better to have at least. You don't want both of them anchoring the race, then, huh?
No. There's another guy I don't want starting the race.
I
the
see.
Same guy as another guy finishing the race. Be very scary. Currently, I can keep up with James if somebody else can keep up with Tomoki. But there's a few combos they have where we'd be in trouble.
You'd be in trouble. The beauties of driver swaps and team racing, man, it is something different.
Yep, and just I don't know if you wound up catching it, but the rear bumper that that was involved with James's nose was indeed Julian's.
Yeah, no, we went back and is what put Julian in the wall, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yep, we'll see what the IRT has to say. I mean, I'll just leave
I looked at it.
I'll leave it that James didn't set a league record for most car contacts last season by coincidence, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'd say you have a strong case there. Well, good luck with the midweek IRT review. So thanks, Dexter, for coming in.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fun. See ya.
Stirring the pot. That was Dexter Castro for Team 49 Motorsports. We're riding on board with Dylan Francis, who is on Team Potato Australia, actually.
And who does Stevenson race for, Joe?
AMS,
Oh,
who has a rivalry with Team 49. So that
I love it.
You could hear in Dexter's voice that that rivalry is certainly not over in the least. We've been seeing some interesting inter-traffic stuff going on between ST cars on screen. Just about a lap ago, about at this spot, Sonny Cancian had to be passed by our GS leader, that's Brian Strodbeck, and he had to go to the right of Dries Nice and then had to try and hope that he was far enough past him and slip between them almost and go to the left of Sonny Cancian. But thankfully nothing happened with it. Just a bit of a tense moment. But right now we've still got our top four. You can see them on screen in ST all close together. And in fact within, it looks about 2 seconds of each other.
Yeah, and here comes more. Challoner coming up quick. Kevin Ford right behind him. Antti Tuominen, they're all in that group coming up on these STs now. Dylan Francis, they'll get to him first. So, they'll get to Stevenson first, and going to do it in a pretty bad spot of the track, to be honest with you. Yeah, Amjad Yaman was another one, our second place there in the GS class. He had trouble getting through that traffic as well. He really got slowed down on that trip through.
So, speaking of the AMS versus 49, let's stay on this battle, though, in case it starts to erupt. We do have Stefan Oergaard waiting to talk to us as well, and he is with AMS. Should we get the other side of the story?
Oh, I think we should.
All right. Let's bring Stefan in and talk to him. We've got Stefan Oergaard in the booth with us. Stefan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you.
We just talked to Dexter Castro about the incident between Stevenson and Julian, and he didn't seem too pleased about it. We figured we'd get the other side of the story from AMS.
Yeah, I haven't seen it that much because it wasn't on my team, but I heard James Stevenson said something about it. He was a bit surprised and didn't mean to overtake it, but had to go on the inside and they hit each other.
We're watching a few more Mustangs start to work past this lead pack of 4 STs, and it looks like they should be able to clear them by the end of the straight here. So, Stefan, I believe you are stepping in with, let me double check here. You are racing today, correct?
Yeah, I'm coming in the car after Britain is at his stint.
How is the weather out there? Because we haven't talked about that a lot today. As far as the track conditions, is it pretty grippy or what's it like?
It's a bit less grippy than the big practice session yesterday, so that's something you have to get used to because the braking points are a bit different.
Well, hopefully you should have a clean car by the time you hop in there, and we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the race.
Thanks, it's clean so far.
All right, that was Stefan Oergaard, who is driving for Asbury Motorsports today.
Joe, let me follow up on a couple things. Strodbeck has distance. He's really done well going through the traffic. He's now got about a 5-second lead on Yaman. And just to go back, I'm going to do a little devil's advocate here for Stevenson. I think a lot of that was back on lap 1. I think a lot of the panic came as a result of that jumped start. All of a sudden, Stevenson and Offrey found themselves way behind, and they really needed to hustle. They didn't want to let those leaders get way out in front of them. So I think maybe a little bit of the aggressiveness for lap 1 resulted from that.
That seems like a reasonable explanation. I mean, there's a lot more going on in these cars, and this is why we always try to stay as neutral as we can in these arguments, because we really honestly don't know all the factors. It's very difficult sometimes to put the blame on one single person in an incident. And Sean, it's especially in these ST cars where you have to be so close to the line to just be competitive.
Yeah, well, I talked about it earlier about just hanging these things out on the ragged edge, man, and when that happens, I mean, racing happens. We always talk in an oval racing, and we say, well, that was kind of a racing deal. Well, sometimes it is just a racing deal, man, and you got to live with it. You got to fight back, and sometimes it results in ending your day, but that's just the way it goes, man. You just can't be perfect every week, Joe.
Well, right now, Chris Houston is trying to be perfect. As we watch him, he is sitting in the Let's see, I'm trying to figure out what position he is in his class. It looks like 6th position still, and he's still been battling with Auger. Auger's been making multiple mistakes on the apexes, and it looks like Houston just isn't able to capitalize on the exit.
No, he's not. But George Britton's made his way into that picture now. Britton had really fallen really far behind, but he's now managed to catch up to Houston and Auger and get himself into that battle.
And Bill, I believe you had something to say?
Well, I just wanted to touch base, and when you get a chance, maybe we can put the camera on Challoner and Ford here in the Mustangs. I would like to say this is a battle, but it really isn't. Ford is just sitting back there. Nah, that's don't. Well, okay. Are you going to do it?
He's looking right now.
All right, Kevin. Finally going to do it on. There he goes. Let's see.
Looks to the.
He's going to take that spot.
He's trying to. He's on the outside of turn 5 though, and just outbrakes himself. Unfortunately, it looks like he can't manage it. So he is still sitting in that 5th position.
They've been there and they've been behaving pretty well. I think Ford's faster, and I think now he's beginning to say, if we're not going to see any yellow flags here, I really got to pick up the pace. I can't afford to sit back here. We got to close the distance a little bit. Just following up on incidents and that kind of thing. I've done so many incident reviews, and I'm telling you, especially in the Miata, you look like somebody gets punted.
been pretty clean racing, bar one bit of contact that we know for sure happened on lap 1 in the ST class.
And I feel kind of bad for missing that. The start had me a little rattled there, and obviously a lot more went on than I initially saw.
To be fair, we had a battle going on, a fierce battle going on in the GS class.
I think we stole it. I think we took it away from them there where they were battling for the lead, because it wasn't turn 1 for those MX-5. It was about halfway through the lap. Look at those guys in those Miatas. I think Nice is just sitting back there saving fuel.
Yeah, you have to wonder.
I just saw Ketch. I know it's not my class. I was just watching some of the back markers in the Mustangs. I just saw Kanchan go off on the ground. Whoa! Nice is in trouble.
What happened there?
Nice got loose and lost 2-3 spots.
Yeah, he's really off pace right now, letting the Mustang get by there, but he is off pace, guys.
This is going to be huge for Kanchan as we look at the replay. It was coming out of the exit of the final corner, just dipped. Oh, yeah, it looks like you were right. He did get a little bit loose. Oh, and he was so close to that inside wall as well.
Should have made a pit stop.
And guys, another battle back here. George Britton takes the spot away from Chris Houston, and now he's working on Auger. Britton really showing some muscle right now. The Asbury Motorsports entry looking good. Just behind them, Houston is now in the pit. Houston is pitting.
Houston elects to take his stop now.
Poor George. For a guy sitting 4th in the individual points, he gets absolutely no screen time. So, George, nice job.
He's a little farther back than normal today, though. Usually he's a little farther up. Right now he's on the inside of Jonathan Auger and makes that one work.
Yes, he does.
And Auger's coming back.
Yeah, here comes Auger, trying to get it back.
This is definitely not...
Slams the door on him right there.
I was just about to say, this is not a case of trying to use the draft to go faster. These guys are legitimately battling now. Auger wants to stay ahead of Britton, and they've got... Is this Alexis Molina screaming by?
That's Carpenter screaming by there.
Carpenter making it 3 wide for a moment, but they give him room. This can be a thin track sometimes. Britton on the inside, down into 5, going to try and outbreak him. Each driver giving each other space. Very wide for Auger, and he is going to lose out.
Yeah, Auger in there a little bit hot and offline there, and took it a little bit too deep and got off there and loses that position. But hey, you know what? Hats off to George Britton, man. He is just driving his tail off right now. Really looked good for many laps here, and puts himself in a pretty good position here. I'm sure he's getting ready to pit here pretty soon.
One thing to note is that Dries Nice is now at the tail of the 4 cars that were leading. So he is behind Stevenson, and he is quite a ways back from Dylan Francis. In fact, from Sonny Kanchan, because in fact Dylan Francis is 2.5 seconds back from Kanchan. That should be enough to keep the draft out, but right now we have some traffic that was getting into the way of Francis. That was Todd Honzarenko, and now Stevenson looks to the inside. Once again, apologies if we're calling anything that is not on screen. We are dealing with a few technical issues at the moment. Stevenson manages to work his way past. This is an opportunity for Dries Nice to get all the way back up into 2nd place. He's on the inside of Stevenson. Team Potato Belgium works its way back into 2nd, and unfortunately for Stevenson, that opens the door for Dylan Francis down the inside to turn 3. And what he thought was 1 position is now 2 lost for James Stevenson.
Sean, that Stevenson car is not working right.
No, it's not. I mean, he's been able to stay with it, but man, when it comes to needing to make a move, he's just not able to do it, and they're just able to get right around him. But really, really good job there by Dries Nice getting through there and putting himself back up in 2nd place right now.
And praise be to the broadcasting gods, I can see what you folks at home can see now again. So we are on board with Stevenson at the moment, heading up towards turn 6.
Now this is interesting. They have David Whammo there ahead of him. He's a lap down. Dave's pretty good at getting out of the way. Let's see how he does here as he got 3 guys coming by him.
And it's even more interesting because they've got Sean Vandergriff now behind them trying to find a way past these ST cars as well. So they're trying to lap a car of their own class, and they're going to be lapped. Here it goes. There we can see Vandergriff moving to the inside of the hurry downs, and it's getting very complicated for Dries Nice up ahead. Has to take to the inside line to try and avoid Whammond.
Yeah,
Now-
almost made a little bit of contact there with Whammond, I think.
And now they've got Kevin Ford coming through as well as they go through the carousel. Let's see what Vandergriff does up ahead, as well as Ford as they come up to the kink. Whammond moving off to the side, braking, letting everyone by. Thankfully, they go single file. Everyone managed to get through the kink.
Woo, I'm sweating just watching that.
Yeah, I was going to say tense moments there. We're still on board with Stevenson as he watches yet another car go by. That's Marco Abate, leader of the championship at the moment. Not where he wants to be, sitting in 6th. And that is Antti Tuominen in the 49 car just slipping by as well.
Oh, it's Mustang, MX-5, Mustang, MX-5, Mustang. It's there. They're
Yes,
getting.
Hey, Bill, so much for them not having to fight with too much traffic.
I know.
huh?
I was just saying. I thought it was going to be much easier, but look, they're right back together again.
It wasn't a sandwich, it was a row of hot dogs for a moment there. All different teams and classes just splitting each other up. And actually, this is really giving a chance for these ST cars to break away from each other, because Dries Nice is pulling away from Dylan Francis, currently 2.2 seconds between himself and Francis.
He's got a way to go to catch Sonny Cancian, though. Sonny really taking advantage of the trouble behind, and he is really starting to open it up deep into this run. Sonny's still looking really good there in that Asbury Motorsports 74.
Currently 5 seconds between Cancian and Nice, and Cancian still has to make his stop. We'll see if he hands over to Tomoki Kono, the bullet train, and see what he can do.
No, it's Losper.
Oh,
Cancian will turn it over to Losper.
Excuse me. You're correct. That is Losper that he's handing over to.
The Austin
And-
Posse.
That's that's actually something we should talk about. Losper has not won a race in this series yet. Despite him being in 3rd in the championship and being in charge of AMS, he has never been on the winning car.
Yeah, he was dying in the broadcast booth the other day. He came close to winning right here in the booth. It would have been a kind of a Michael Waltrip calling or who was it that called his son's win in NASCAR? Sorry,
That
Nick.
would
Darryl
been a great
Waltrip.
Ned Jarrett.
Yeah, Darryl Waltrip.
Oh, was it Ned Jarrett?
Yeah, it was
Ned Jarrett. That Ned
called-
Jarrett called Dale
Yep.
Jarrett's win. Thanks, Sean.
That's right. Yep. I think that was
Oh,
in Michigan, if I remember correctly.
You should be thankful that you have Sean here in the booth, the master of NASCAR trivia.
Actually, kind of funny that comes up, that they are at Michigan this weekend, and I believe that was the race.
Well, we're just a hop, skip, and a jump over some of the lakes here in Wisconsin right now, watching Sonny Cancian have to deal with more of this traffic. And just look at Antti Tuominen all over the back of the car in front.
Yeah, the Cancian did not have any fun there. He had 4 Mustangs that all got around him, let's just say very closely. Cancian staying on the throttle here. I mean, he's trying to open it up just as much as he can, but man, that was pretty hairy.
We got glimpses of Tuominen and the GS class hassling Marco Luca Abate. It's just not having a good day for his championship hopes. Still sitting in 6th, looking like he might be demoted to 7th if Tuominen has anything to say about it.
Yeah, Dries Nice, able to pick up a little bit of ground on Cancian there, and Team Potato Belgium still in this thing. Unfortunate little slip up there for him earlier, but car's still looking good and pretty strong. He is starting to close that gap on Sonny Cancian.
I wonder if some of that was helped by all that traffic that he was having to let through. I wasn't sure. I wasn't watching to see if he was being held up in the corners at all.
Oh yeah, the traffic definitely came into play there for sure. I mean, that was a tough trip, tough trip through the traffic for Sonny there. They definitely, like I said, that was really close.
And if you think anything is over in this race, we still have an hour and a half left to go. We're not even at the halfway point of this 2.5-hour race here at Elkhart Lake. And we haven't yet had a caution. So guys have been able to really spread out, get some space, few battles going on, but not a lot of cars super close to each other. This could all change in a heartbeat.
Let me set the table here in the Mustangs, because this is getting interesting. Maybe our director can go, put it on the leader here, Steve Brown. Now he's opened up a distance. He's got about 6 seconds on Rash, who I thought might be able to run him down, but that's not the case. So Rash is not, it was 3.5 seconds when they came out of the pit stop. He's almost doubled that. But the guy we got to keep an eye on, the guy who's making a move, is currently running in third place. He's running down both guys, and that's Todd Honzarenko. He's now just behind Dan Rash for second, and with enough time to run down the leader. It's going to be really interesting.
One thing to remember about Dan Rash, even though he's a multi-time champion in this series, he's taken a bit of a break from iRacing. He's just now getting back into it this year. So he's mentioned before when we've talked to him post-race, he's kind of knocking the rust off. He's getting his speed back. So it's showing a little bit here. The fact that you mentioned he's not catching Steve Brown and also losing ground to Todd Honzarenko. He's got to find his legs.
Yeah, as a musician, it's called getting your chops back. I'm a musician. You get away from it, and things that are simple become hard. And once you start to play again or race again, things start, well, at least I assume once you start to race again. I've never really had my chops as a racer. I can only assume. But certainly what we're seeing here, and Zarenko, I like to call him, I wish his first name was Hans. It would be so much easier if it was Hans Zarenko. Hans Zarenko is right behind Rash now. It won't be maybe this lap he's going to make a move on him.
Yeah, you can see him closing up as we ride on board with third place Hans Zarenko down into turn 3. Draft is going to start to reel him in down the moraine sweep here. Yeah, you talk about you getting your chops, Bill. We mentioned in the last Champion Motorsports broadcast when there was some backmarker trouble. You need to talk to some of those guys and tell them how to behave.
I could coach a seminar on that one. I could teach a seminar. It's really not that difficult if you do it right. It really, now mixed class racing sometimes it gets a little tough, but it's if you play your cards right, it's simple to do. It all depends how. The worst scenario is when you're in a battle with somebody. You're battling for 23rd position. You've been battling with them as we're watching this battle here for second place, and you just sometimes you just don't want to give that up. Your 23rd place battle seems life and death to you.
Yeah, if you're a racer, you want every position you can get. And I'm sure Todd Honzarenko really wants his second position. He just cannot close in on that spoiler. He was getting right up on him in turn 3, and now you can see he's stretched away just a little bit. We've got the ebb and flow of the different speeds in these drivers. And now he's starting to gain great launch coming out of the carousel. Can he hold it? With the aero wash cause him to lose ground through the kink. Looks like he's able to hold ground. And as this is happening, it sounds like we've actually got another battle going on between Callow and Francis, and that is in the ST class. Oh, excuse me. No, excuse me. Ben Callow has hopped into Dylan Francis's car. That is for Team Potato Australia. My apologies.
Yeah, and they decided to come in before their teammate. Belgium, Team Potato Belgium, still on the track, and so is Sonny Canchin right now. And I got to be honest with you here, we're starting to fall into that range here where you begin to wonder, can they one stop it? I don't know.
Who
Sonny,
dares push it this far around Road America?
Well, we certainly knew strategy would come into play, and those boys over at Asbury's Motorsports probably play it just as good as anybody does, and they may have something up their sleeve here.
While we were watching Dries Nice, Hans Zarenko got so close into turn 1, almost outbraked himself through there, lost a little bit of ground, but almost got into the back of Dan Rash's 49 Motorsports machine. And here goes Dries Nice past the pit entry. Not pitting another lap. We are an hour and 7 minutes into this thing. How far can they go?
Well, they say they can go, the official thing is that they say they can go 70 to 80 minutes. So, 80 minutes easily is a one-stopper, but I just thought they'd be on the throttle so much here that they wouldn't be able to do it. But, Sean, if you could one-stop it, you could win this thing from all the way back to, 7th, 8th position. I mean, if one of these guys could do it back there, they could easily steal this thing. You know, somebody
you know.
like Carpenter, you know, back there 54 seconds back, or even Auntie, or I'm sorry, Carpenter's my thing. You know, somebody like Auger could do it. You know.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are certainly not out of it if they're willing to push it just as far as they can. We talked about it a little while ago, man. You don't want to run out of gas here. You don't want to fall short. It's a very long track, and a long way back means a long tow. And if you run out just trying to get in, you're not going to make it up the hill.
And you're going to lose a lot of time coasting as far as you can. Meanwhile, Jonathan Auger to the inside of trying to see if that's still George Britton in the car.
It
Could
is.
have an
George
over-under
Britton's still in the
situation.
car.
Got himself a decent exit, just doesn't have the speed heading down to the 3, and he's going to have to give that one up. So Auger up to 4th now.
And we got all 3 Asbury Motorsports cars in the top 5.
Meanwhile, I will note that Dexter Castro has hopped into the car, the 49 Motorsports machine. So he has taken over from Chris Hewson. So a couple of guys have elected to come in and do their stops. Question is, when are our leaders going to decide that they've had enough and come into the pits? Currently, Sonny Canchin, our leader in the ST, is coming around Canada Corner. So if he's going to pit, we're going to find out soon. He's got Andres Velgemude just ahead of him. He's currently sitting in, I believe that's 7th in class.
Well,
Let's see
What
if
will Canchin do? We're about to see.
Oh,
Here he
and
comes.
he's in. Canchin comes in. So what is everybody else doing? Dries Nice heads into the pits. James Stevenson, is he coming in? Yes, he is. Everybody is coming in now. Sonny Canchin will be handing over to Richard Losper. Dries Nice will be handing over to, I believe he is racing with Antoine Mays.
That's correct. And then Kono for Stevenson, and then we'll see how damaged that orange and blue Asbury Motorsports car of Stevenson is once we get the Japanese driver in it.
Losper is in the car.
Antoine Mays is in the car.
This will be very interesting to see how this plays out with new drivers. Who's got the pace? Who is going to be a little bit slower? Who's going to be a little bit faster? Richard Losper is known as one of the fastest drivers in the MX-5s, usually challenges in the advanced MX-5 series. Same thing with Tomoki Kono. Very much a hot shoe. There's a reason I call him the bullet train.
There is going to be a battle here. I'll tell you what. Have all these 3 in the pits at the same time, and here we go. And it looks like the first one out is going to be Richard Losper.
Remember, he had a gap when they headed into the pits, so he's going to have a bit of time. Antoine Mays exits next. It is all in order. Tomoki Kono still sitting there.
There he goes.
And did they get any of the damage repaired, I wonder? Wonder if they felt it was worth it or not with these high-speed straights. Oh.
Yeah.
So I guess they decided lose a little bit of time in the pits, gain it back on track. Let's see what Kono can do in that Asbury Motorsports machine. Before, Stevenson was losing ground. He was able to catch up and then lost it once again when traffic came back into play.
Well, Losper got away clean. Got around Ben Callow, who was up in front of him there, and Callow now a lap down from the leaders here in ST, but Losper...
No, Callow's on the same lap. Remember, he pitted earlier.
That's right, I am sorry. Yes, that's correct.
So after Dylan Francis handed off to Callow, he's sitting in second, and he is right on the rear bumper of Losper. There is only 7/10 between them. The battle for the lead in ST is on.
Yes, sir. I totally overlooked that, forgetting there that Callow had gotten in, and Callow now a threat to take this lead away from Richard Losper early in Losper's run.
Meanwhile, let's stay with this, but I will note that Dan Rash got passed by Todd Honzarenko at some point, so Honzarenko is into second.
Yeah, Hansarenko had been stalking him for many laps. We watched it. Took him a while to do it, though.
The one thing worth noting is that Dan Rash is not fighting for the championship. He came in late this season. So Dan Rash is basically here to help Amjad Yaman in this 49 Motorsports Mustang and see what he can do towards the championship, both in team and driver.
Okay, well, let me put...
and we've got car number 75 is in the wall at the exit of Canada Corner.
Jason Pouzon.
Looks like he's able to get it going again. Let's look at the replay. Oh, and this is going to happen on the exit. Here we can see him coming down into the entry. There's that rumble strip on the outside. Really doesn't disrupt the car much, but it looks like he got on the power. I've done that a number of times. Just nosed it into the tire barrier, and now he's got a little pug nose on that Mustang, unfortunately.
Well, let me put a number out there for you. 5.5. That's the difference between Brown and Hansarenko. So Hansarenko doesn't have Rash to get around anymore. I think Rash was holding him up. So now we'll see. He has plenty of time to get there.
Let's look at the lap times here. Todd Hansarenko, 2:33, so he was held up by traffic there. 2:29, 2:30, 2:30.4, 2:30.4. What about our leader? What laps is he doing?
Yeah, but Hansarenko's are gonna his times are gonna be tainted because he just got around Rash. So really, basically, that was Dan Rash's times. So now this is really the first chance that Hansarenko has had an open track in front of him.
Guys, Callow making a move on Losper right now. Callow putting that car to the inside. He's got it. He's at his door. Callow showing some muscle here, boys.
Into the braking zone of turn 5. He is well clear of Richard Losper, and Callow is going to take the lead. Australian overtakes Australian.
Well, you know, Callow's car might be a little lighter. Richard's out there with a full tank.
Bill always with the tinfoil hat there.
Callow's flying though.
Yeah, he is.
He is looking very strong.
His legs
wow.
a little bit there.
A couple corners and he is already a second ahead. This does not bode well for Richard Losper.
Guys, I can't help but to think I think they could still one-stop this thing. There could have been another couple laps in that car.
Everybody pretty much came in at the same time. I'm going to say that they ran them as far as they dared. And we are now at 1 hour and 15 left, which is the halfway point. So they've been out on track for quite a while. I don't... it's going to take a caution, I think.
Yes, it's going to take a caution.
What, that quote that we love, Bill, about strategy?
Luck is not a good strategy?
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah, guys, Ben Callow has disappeared from the track right now.
Oh, that's so sad.
He has. I don't see him coming back right now. He is out. Losper back to the lead. Nothing in front of him.
Sean, I got to guess Callow must have been flying in the back of the pack. He made that early pit stop. He must have been flying back there to run with the leaders and then jump them on the pits.
Steve Brown getting around Losper right there. Yeah, he was flying. I mean, he had the pace. You saw it. I mean, he was really strong and pulling away.
So sad.
Yeah, he has to not come back. I don't see him.
And on the Hansarenko watch, it's now down to 4.5 seconds. So there's 1 second off.
Ooh, he is
last time.
Definitely chasing him down then. In fact, you can see both of them as we watch Losper. Steve Brown just went by. And then we could just get a glimpse. There's Hansarenko at the bottom of the screen. The plot thickens.
The guy who does not want a yellow flag is Richard Losper. I mean, he's got 5.5, almost over 5 seconds on the. He just like this thing to go green from here. He can bring it home with a 5-second lead from here, I think.
I think Richard Losper turned Irish just momentarily there with his luck, because he lost the lead, and I don't see Ben Callow back yet. I think Ben Callow has. Oh yeah, I'm seeing in our notes here that his received throughput fell to unacceptable level. That means he has disconnected, and now he has reconnected. Ben Callow has got to be saying some choice words in that virtual cockpit.
Yes,
Sean,
he does. What a tough break.
Couldn't you get the Aren't the racing gods cruel? Couldn't they have given the disconnect like a minute earlier before he had got the lead? I mean, to let him get the lead and then take it away from him seems just mean.
Yeah, well, that's iRacing's equivalent of just like blowing a motor or something right there. You know, it's a racing deal, right? We mentioned it earlier.
You know,
it's unfortunate.
It's really not blowing a motor. It's more like a battery going down or a or an ignition problem.
The software in the car just deciding to go on the fritz, and finally you get it rebooted and going again.
God.
Yeah, lots of comparisons, all of them equally frustrating. Meanwhile, I'm looking at Richard Losper, though. It's down to 3 seconds between himself and Antoine Mays. So Richard Liz is not in the clear quite yet.
Now, lots of work to be done still here. Richard, whereas he's looking strong, he's got a lot of time in front of him here in the seat. It's going to have to be patient, going to have to be smooth, and just continue to wheel that car around here and do it in the fastest way possible, because Team Potato Belgium, that dark horse we've talked about, they have come to play and play hard today, and Antoine Mays is certainly a guy who can get it done.
So I'm checking on the GS leaders, Bill. Steve Brown ran a 2:31.5 last lap. Todd Honzarenko, 2:36, almost a second faster than the leader. He is coming in a hurry.
Yeah, if memory serves, he's coming off a win he did a similar thing at Lime Rock just last race. So, of course, getting there's one thing, getting around him is another thing.
Now, here's the interesting thing. I'm looking at Dan Rash. He ran a 2:30.2. So he was actually faster than Honzarenko by about half a second.
Yeah, well, Rash can still see him. He hasn't, he's still there. And, you never know how much maybe he's being towed around.
Next car back is 18 seconds behind them. That's Sean Vandergriff. He's managed to work his way up. In fact, it looks like there's a bit of a battle going on behind him between Kevin Ford and Antti Tuominen. This is for 5th and 6th. Tuominen on the inside, heading into turn 6. Very difficult corner to tiptoe through. You come off of a crest, and Ford's not giving up. He's going to stay on the inside, and he gives it up.
And honestly, we need to apologize ahead of time to those guys. They really, we talked about it earlier with Sean. Those three guys have been together. Those three cars have been together for an hour and a half.
Well, Sean Vandergriff had a bit of a moment going side by side through the hurry downs with Tomoki Kono there, not wanting to give way. Still, he's able to stretch away from those guys. Sean Vandergriff, I talked earlier about him not being in a position he wanted to be. I think it was about 7th, up to 4th now. He is really on the move. In fact, let me look at his lap times. See what he's doing, 2:30.8. So he's not quite catching our leaders, but he's running a comparable pace to our leaders. But he's not going to be catching them unless he gets some sort of caution or they run into some sort of trouble. But up at the front, I was going to say, the main thing that we need to think about here is as Todd Honzarenko closes in on Brown and Dan Rash continues to ride his draft, we could see a 3-car battle for the lead any moment now.
I'm back here watching, maybe Sean's watching this too, these Mustangs going around Stevenson right now, or I guess it's Kono right now.
Yeah, Kono having to work through that for sure.
So once again, an entire second faster for Todd Honzarenko. In fact, more than a second faster this time around. It's down to 2.5 seconds between 1st and 2nd in the GS class.
Now, what Dan Rash needs back there in 3rd, he needs Brown to put up a little bit of battle when Honzarenko gets up there. Turn this thing into a 3-way. If Honzarenko can do quick business there with Steve Brown, this might be turn out the lights, the party's over.
And Sean's going to have to break in possibly too here with Antoine Mays.
Yeah, well, Vandergriff just got around Mays. He's getting a Losper right now, but we're seeing Mays. He's on quite a charge, guys. He's making his way to Losper.
It's down to 1.6 seconds between
Oh, and
Mays
Mays almost into the rear end there, the Mustang.
Very close moment. We're looking at, and a 3 wide moment coming back up the hill. That was Kevin Ford. He was going slow. What was going on there? That was unusual. He just suddenly slowed down. We're going to look at a replay, see if we can figure out if there was contact. That might have been ghost contact.
Well, that was who Mays almost got into.
Yeah, we just watched it on the replay. There was some weird movement in the car. I'm not sure if it was Mays trying to, suddenly realize he was turning into him and dodging him. We're going to look at it one more time. Maybe on board from Mays, see if we can tell.
It didn't look like he hit him, but maybe he did.
Here we are.
Go ahead, Joe.
Here we are on board with Mays. We can see Tuominen going, or is that Rash? No, I think that's Tuominen going by. There goes Ford. Starts to turn in. It's hard to tell.
It didn't on my screen, but what was interesting was how slow Ford was back to the gas. It's like he missed a shift.
Yeah, actually that could be a good explanation. Ford is now past him, so if there was damage, it's gone now. It must have been a missed shift.
Ford appears to be back under power as he gets by Mays pretty easily. He's going to have to deal with Losper now as Losper makes the turn. Ford pretty close behind. He'll get him up the straight here.
Going to be clear
Sean,
past.
That's that group of Mustangs that have been the Achilles heel for the MX-5s all race, man. Those three guys they've been together. They're hard to get around.
Well, they're like this rabid hornet's nest that just keeps showing up out of nowhere.
If we hop on board with Hans Aranko, we can now clearly see Steve Brown filling up our windshield. There we go, on the roof of Todd, who I apparently incorrectly called where he was from earlier in the year. Believe, if I get it correct this time, he's from Jersey? Watch me get it completely wrong once again. At any rate, Todd Hansarenko currently sitting in second, much faster than our GS leader, now within a second of Steve Brown as they head through the hurry downs.
And Dan Rash has been able to stay close enough. He's a second and a half back in third place. Really needs to make up time right now, though, while Hansarenko is being held up by Brown.
Hey guys, real quickly, Tomoki Kono starting to make his way up here. He's coming into the picture, and right now Antoine Mays is starting to see him in his mirror. That cannot be a comforting sight, guys.
I did get confirmation that Todd Hansarenko is from Jersey. I said he was from Spain at one point in another broadcast, so I apologize about that.
That's close.
Well, look at Hansarenko right on his bumper. Coming through Canada Corner, just swinging that car through. You could see him absolutely sliding it around, getting everything he can out of that red and black Mustang.
Brown really needs to start considering some defensive lines here.
Oh, does he defend with an hour left to go, though?
That's a lot of defending, isn't it? I was thinking the same thing.
Hey, guys, did you see what Border 2 said on the YouTube chat?
I did. This is, in fact, a thing that is real. We take it very seriously here at GSRC. We also have word that Hansarenko is from the moon. I'm pretty sure that one's not correct.
That's about as close as Spain is to New Jersey, so why not?
You know, I love the comment there from Border 2. It ends with him stating that his wife thinks this is hilarious and it's sad that this is something that exists.
Well, not all of us can have the budget to go racing for real, so iRacing is the best that we can do, and It's about as serious as we can get about this thing, and I think Steve Brown is taking this threat from Honzarenko deadly serious. Now within half a second of him, and look at Dan Rash in the screen. All three, top three in the GS, all within a second of each other, and still an hour left to go. This thing is about to erupt.
Well, I have worked with Steve Brown before, done some spotting work with him, and listen, I know he's taking it seriously right now.
A very, very understated gentleman, Steve Brown. Very soft-spoken sort of guy, which underlies the incredible speed that he can get out of these cars.
Yeah, and he can wheel it with the best of them, man.
Honzarenko seems just about stuck at that half-second mark. He gets a little bit of a run coming out of the carousel. Now they head through the kink. He could get an opportunity if he gets a run out of here. He's got a very good run.
Look at him stay to the inside. Oh, he's going to...
He was holding the line. He's going to give him the inside. Can Honzarenko do it, though? Outbreaks him, and Steve gives it up. Is he looking for the over-under? Oh, cars, both of them squirming under acceleration. But the lead goes to Honzarenko. For the first...
I'm sorry, Joe. Brown took that extreme inside line out of the kink there, and I thought he was going to fight him, but he gave it up.
Yeah. I think he was just following the normal line. Unfortunately, once again, those tires not looking good for Steve Brown. He was really just wiggly coming out of that final corner. Wiggly, of course, is the technical term in racing.
I'll take Wiggly. I won't lay out on you, buddy. I'll take Wiggly.
Now he's got Steve Brown half a second behind him. Or excuse me, Dan Rash half a second behind Steve Brown, rather.
Ooh. Richard Losper a little wide in Canada corner, and Antoine Mays able to make up just a little bit of ground. The gap is still good, but Mays closing just a little bit every lap back here, guys.
It's under 2 seconds. Before we switched over to Mays here, we saw actually Steve Brown having Dan Rash close up on him, but he's not closing anymore, unfortunately, so let's stay with Mays. Mays, of course, is in second place in the ST class. If you're just joining us, he has been reeling in Richard Losper, who has had just a stroke of luck after he took over that car, lost the lead to Ben Callow, who disconnected and now finally reconnected. In fact, Ben is currently sitting in, it looks like 8th place, 7th or 8th place.
7th
place.
Yep. And man, I got to tell you what, Kono on the charge. He's faster than Mays and Losper about a half a second. He's coming. He's not coming now, but he's going to be coming soon.
I said at the top of the show, this track produces unpredictable races, and boy, are we getting one. Honzarenko is starting to stretch away, meanwhile, almost a second ahead of Brown. Rash now within 0.3 of the Turn 2 Motorsports machine, and Brown is off into the grass, coming through the kink. That is going to compromise him. Rash pulling an almost identical move down to the inside into Canada corner. Are we going to see it all over again?
Yep.
Steve Brown tucking it in. Dan Rash goes a little bit wide. Oh, both of them once again just trying to do their best. Steve Brown to the outside as they come to the kink. And he just has to give it up as Dan Rash reclaims it.
That's what Brown tried to do on Honzarenko. It worked a little bit better there on Rash, but it didn't. Either way, he lost the position.
Down to third. 2 positions and 2 laps for poor Steve Brown. Just cannot keep the pace. And remember, Brown is fighting for the championship.
Okay, well, let me set the benchmark now again. Honzarenko is 1.6 seconds ahead of Rash, so we'll keep an eye on that now.
So now that it looks like our battle has finally worked its way through in the GS class, Antoine Mays within a second of Richard Losper. Tomoki Kono 3.5 seconds back from Mays.
You know, we talked about it in the pre-race about how Kono is just such a patient driver, and he lets the race come to him until it's time to attack. This is that moment for him. He's got this battle in front of him. He knows it. one small mistake by either Losper or Antoine Mays opens this thing up for Kono. He knows that's his opportunity right now. He is, and again, he's a little bit faster, so still a long way to go. Kono showing really good pace right now as he turns 239.505 right there.
On screen, we saw Steve Brown close up under braking onto Dan Rash, but loses the ground on the exit. That was a bit of an exciting moment there.
Yeah, it was really close to giving Rash a spin. Now remember, the Mustangs have one more stop, and Sean, we think that the Little Miatas have to come in one more time as well.
I think most of them are going to come in one more time. I gotta wonder. I gotta wonder about Richard Losper there and and Antoine Mays and even Tomoki Kono.
Oh, we might be seeing a pass there. Antoine Mays is closing
Mays
in.
is at him.
Oh,
He's
he
at
backs
him.
out of it. He was closing at a high rate of speed. Losper really pushing this car.
Well,
Clips the dirt on the exit.
Mays was 0.8 faster on that last lap, so he is definitely faster than Losper right now.
Well,
he's
I
showing
think-
it on this lap too.
I was going to say, I think he's caught the draft. That definitely helped him. Kono's down to 3.2. Mays just hunting Losper at the moment. Currently just in his draft, in his shadow. I'm sure Losper is making sure he can't see the broadcast at the moment. He never likes being on screen.
I don't even know why he'd have it on.
We've had drivers watch or listen to the broadcast, rather, I should say, at the same time that they're racing.
Not for me. Can't do
No,
it.
I
Can't do it.
I
But
cannot concentrate like
But
that.
Mays
right,
is on the come right here. Here he goes.
I was going to say, Richard Losper is going to have to really concentrate. Is he going to go defensive? He holds just about the middle of the track, then goes back to the line. Mays on the inside into Canada corner. It's just like we saw with the Mustang. Mays is able to get it. Losper is hanging on around the outside, but Mays is fully past now.
What a move by Mays. Man, that was a really good move through Canada there.
That was clinical.
That's the corner I want to buy my ticket for.
And in the meantime, 1.7 seconds back from Richard Losper is Tomoki Kono. Now these guys are teammates, and Losper knows that Kono is fighting for the championship. I don't think he's going to be fighting as hard when Kono catches him.
And Kono is coming. He is awake. That first cup of coffee is starting to run through him, and he's feeling it, baby.
How early in the morning is it for him, Bill?
It's not so bad. It's not so. I think it's like 10 in the morning.
Like 9 or 10 in the morning right now, yeah.
So bright and bushy over in Japan right now for Tomoki Kono. Let's see if he can close that gap to his teammate, work himself into second place, give himself and Stevenson just a few more points. Now, Mays is in the championship hunt as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he is. And there's another guy. It's nice to see Mays up front. We usually don't see too much of him. In fact, I'm not really that familiar with him. He's impressive.
Well, Mays has been running with Team Potato Belgium for a number of races now, if I'm not mistaken. Mays is currently sitting 7th, but that is without drop weeks. That's something we should note. We didn't include drop weeks in our points. So that is going to change. Those will be included at the next race coming up, which will be Virginia International Raceway. Well, you talk about a place that throws up some unpredictable things, Bill.
And here's an unpredictable thing. Hans Zarenko is in the pits from the lead.
So electing for an early stop. Oh, he's going for the late first stop, early second stop method.
Well, he's fearing a yellow flag. He wants to come in, get this thing out of the way before a yellow flag comes in, and he gets pushed back to the field, back of the back. So if you think you can go the distance in road course racing, you want to pit as fast as you can. Go ahead.
And Rash is in. So right now, if a caution comes out, Steve Brown is in a terrible position.
Right.
Actually, I guess it's not extremely bad.
It depends on how many people come in behind Brown to pit here as
Yeah,
well.
that's a good point. Tuominen didn't. Marco Abate didn't. What about Kevin Ford? Kevin Ford didn't. So no, he's actually not sitting too bad at the moment.
Guys, you keep talking about the caution. I got to be honest, I don't see it happening, man. This has been a great race. All these guys seem to be really dialed in today, and just been a real exciting watch this far.
If there's one thing I've learned about the Conti series, you cannot predict whether or not it's going to go green the whole time or if something is going to throw it for a loop. Remember back at Mosport about a season ago when poor Dexter Castro brought out that caution.
I didn't even want to go there because it's such an easy go-to. Sorry, Dexter, but for
It's
those
one of
who
the-
aren't familiar with it, Dexter's teammate for 49 Motorsports was leading the race, and Dexter had a problem and drove right past the exit and brought out the yellow flag.
And
Sorry, Dexter.
ruined the large gap that his
Yeah.
teammate had worked up in the lead, and that set off a series of events that was a very contentious ending to that race. With guess who was angry at each other? AMS and 49.
Here's the race right now. Kono making his way around Losper.
This is for second place. Did I hear a car hit?
Yeah, no, I got a car. It looks like it's Jonathan Arger went into the wall.
We'll go to that in a second. Meanwhile, the pass for second place is complete. Losper down to third. Let's see. You said it was Auger?
Yep,
Let's see if we can get a replay. Oh, he's going very slow.
at the kink.
And that
Not
is a
as-
place where you don't have a small accident.
Well, this was about as friendly as you could ask for, I think.
Here we see him coming out of the carousel. Approach to the kink. Was it going in or was it coming out? Looks normal going in. Oh, just took a little bit too much curb. Overcorrected. And off into the outside wall. Does he hit the other one? Just a slight tap on the other one for good measure, add insult to injury. And he's able to get it going again. Thankfully, nobody else was around him. There wasn't any traffic.
That's about the best you can ask for there.
And he's coming on in for his stop right now. Meanwhile, we understand that Brown has headed in.
Oh, look at this. Aren't they a sneaky pair? Look who's back in the car. Brian Strodbeck.
Ah. Now, I believe with the amount of time that it takes to get the full fuel and tires, they do not lose time. That is actually... Ooh.
That's how you skin a cat a different way. Not that you'd want to do such a horrible thing.
Honzarenko is passed, though. Ford is passed, so maybe they did lose time, unfortunately. Rash gets by now. Now, Ford has not pitted yet, though, if I'm not mistaken.
No, actually, Strodbeck is right out behind Rash, which is he's about maybe even a little closer than he was when he came in. So I'd say they didn't lose any time at all.
Yeah.
Guys, our leaders in ST heading up the hill here, down to one. Kono setting up Team Potato Belgium. Antoine May is going to have to fight him off here as they head into one. Kono driving it in deep.
We're understanding there was a mistake by Honzarenko. Let's stay with this, but Honzarenko has lost about 5 or 6 seconds. So a major mistake from him. Meanwhile, we're looking at Antoine Mays, currently our leader in the ST class. Here comes Tomoki Kono for Asbury Motorsports. He's got the draft this time. He's going to have a good passing zone down into 5 as they head down the hill through the Moraine Sweep. Is he going to try it? It's not closing as fast as I thought he would. Now we start to close in. He looks to the inside slightly, but backs out of it. Kono going to stay patient, as we said, waiting for a better opportunity. Meanwhile, behind them, Richard Losper is now up to about 3.5 seconds behind his teammate Kono.
I think Richard probably decided to save the car and hold on to that third position. Dexter Castro is currently sitting in fourth, a long way back from Losper, so Losper just trying to hang on.
He's about 38 seconds back, but if a caution comes out and those two are up next to each other, that is going to be some interesting fireworks.
Kono really pushing the car right now, had a couple wheels off there in the last turn, but again, really pushing. He's got the Mustang behind him right now, Christian Challoner right in his mirror, and he's going to have to give way there to him.
And Antti Tuominen pits from the lead for his scheduled pit stop, so that's going to turn it back over to Hans Zarenko now.
And they do get bonus points for leading a lap, so that's why Tuominen probably stayed out, just to boost his points just a little bit more. Kono was passed by Challenger, and they're going to split their two ST leaders now.
Those two wheels off really hurt Kono. I'm sorry, Bill.
That's okay.
That slowed Kono down. He lost pace to Mays there. Now Mays having to fend off the charge from Challenger. He's got not a good spot in the track to get caught here.
In the meantime, Strodbeck has overtaken Rash, back up into second place.
Yeah, he was right behind Rash. Ford has come into pit. I was watching the pit stops come in. So Strodbeck now into second and got quite a distance on Rash. So now the three drivers are out there.
He's, wow, put 2 seconds on Rash. That is, you don't do that without some talent, because Dan Rash is a very fast driver. So Strodbeck is on the move, and I really want to see, since he's clear of him this time, I hope they don't hit any traffic. Do they have any traffic coming up? No, they do not. I want to see what the lap times are going to be like between Hans Zarenko and Strodbeck with no traffic around them. Is he gaining?
Well, my timing and scoring, though, has Strodbeck almost 13 seconds back. So that's a lot to gain.
It's a lot to gain, but he's got 45 minutes to do it. And, you know, we don't know how the traffic is going to lie.
So we talked about how to anchor, that we thought it was funny that Strodbeck would go out there and not anchor the race. Well, he's going to anchor it. They're going to 3-stop it and put Brown in the middle. Really? 2-stop it, yeah. 3 segments. Put Brown in the middle.
We're understanding that Rash might be shifting a little bit early. He might be short shifting for fuel, potentially, here.
That would explain why he can't keep up with those guys, wouldn't it?
I'm not sure that he'd be able to save that much fuel,
I don't
though.
think they can. I don't think that's doable.
So, just as we ride on board with Rash, fortunately, I can't hear him from the view that I've got. Our viewers might be able to hear him a little bit better. But just as we ride on board with him, let's update our viewers that Kono is still about a second back from Mays, hasn't been able to close. So I think Mays knew that it's time to go now that he's got Kono behind him.
Yeah, he has started to open it up a little bit and hold that distance. Kono not quite able to get to him, not close enough to catch the draft, although Kono pretty good turn into Canada right there. But, you know, Mays did a pretty good job of getting through there, too. But Kono did pick up a little bit of ground right there.
We're hearing that Rash might have, like, a bit of a spurty-sounding engine. I wonder if it's hardware problems with his pedals. So, just like in real life, sometimes your hardware can have problems, except in this case, it's slightly different. Meanwhile, let's go through the top 10 of each class, since I believe pit stops are done for everybody, for everybody in GS at least.
Yeah, Joe, I'm sorry. Just before we do that, I was in the cockpit there, listening to the camera. It does sound kind of funky.
So we're not sure what's going on with Dan Rash. We're hoping he doesn't have problems. That would just be really unfortunate after he's driven such a great race.
I think he's shifting incredibly early. Maybe he's gonna. I don't know.
Guys, here comes Kono. Here comes Kono. He's looking to make the move here. He's got the draft.
Let's switch over to ST. We're still on board with Rash right now, but Kono looks to the inside. There, you can see it on your screen now. Oh, and he backs out of it. Once again, I wonder if Kono's waiting for more of a slam dunk move here. Whoa, and Kono is very sideways.
Yeah, he almost lost it. Great job holding on and didn't really lose any ground there. He drives it in deep again.
Tokyo drift for the Japanese driver, and he hasn't lost any time.
No, he's right there, Joe. I mean, right there. And now Kono, another turn to navigate here. Let's see how he takes it in.
Pushing very hard, I'm sure, Tomoki Kono. As this is going on, I'm going to check the lap times for Hans Arenko. 2:29.3 for Hans Arenko. What about Brian Strodbeck?
Oh, it's up to 17 seconds now. Something's fishy going on here.
2:31, so quite a bit of a difference between Strodbeck and Hans Arenko. Strodbeck is losing ground.
You know, I don't know if Mays is playing possum or if he's just inconsistent, but just when you think Kono's got there, Mays starts to pull away again a little bit.
Let's stay with this. We just got some information from Amjad Yaman. They basically are saying in words that we can't say on air that they are saving a lot of fuel.
Yes, something. It is usually that Mustang engine is so fun to listen to, and it's ridiculous what they're doing.
Even the marshals are commenting to us that they're hearing a weird sound from that car. So, yeah, they are saving a ridiculous amount of fuel.
Okay, guys, move for the lead here. Move for the lead. Sorry, Kono's on his bumper.
In fact, he was bump drafting, I thought, for a second there. Now, I wonder, is Kono trying to save fuel as well?
Boy, it sure looks like it, doesn't it? I mean, he was tucked right in behind him. Nice and neat. They looked like they were coming down the super stretch at Daytona there.
Anyone remember the race 3 or 4 back when he was it's Kono-Maillard battle, where Kono sat behind Maillard for the last half of the race, and he was able to do it without pitting, and Maillard ran out with 1 lap to go.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I bet you that's exactly what Kono is doing as Kevin Ford works his way past. Or excuse me, was that
Hackwith? Yeah,
Hackwith. Yeah, Hackwith is in the car. Apologies. Yeah, that seems like the most likely case at this point. Kono thinks he could single stop it. I think we saw that at Mosport as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe
I'm trying to remember
you're
which
right.
car
Yes,
that was.
sir.
So a lot of fuel chicanery going on in the teams.
Well, the lap times that, I know we were going to do a top 10, we'll get to that in a second. The lap times that Strodbeck and Rash are putting in, they're going to get passed by the MX-5s. I mean, they're ridiculously slow.
And I'm wondering if we're going to stop getting information from teams now that we've been told and we've announced it on air. We know that the other teams are most likely listening in, making sure.
I don't think there's anything Hans Arenko can do about it. I mean, unless he wants to try to save as well. He's 20 seconds ahead. He might as well just run hot laps and come on in and do a splash and go. He's still going to get the win.
Well, I was going to say it could change slightly. If he knows he's got a big lead, he might not be pushing as hard. But if he knows that there's a reason to push hard,
I think there might be.
I'm trying to think of how much time the car's lost.
But they're
we need
done.
to try and do some math.
Wait a minute. They've already made. So they're thinking that they have to 3-stop this. See, like I said at the beginning, that when it comes to the Mustangs, they can do it in 2, or they can do it in 2, but it might take 3. So maybe they're thinking that this is going to take a 3rd stop.
Could be. Meanwhile, let's check back in. In fact, I'm sorry, we still are on Antoine Mays and Tomoki Kono. Kono's weaving behind him. That's weird.
A little argy-bargy going on there, But Kono dead in his tracks, obviously drafting right here, trying to save a little bit of fuel. Got the Mustang there coming to picture. Alexis Molina getting around and does it cleanly there. But Mays not under any real threat right now as long as he keeps that car on the track. It looks like we know what Kono is doing. Oh, Mays a little bit off right there. And Kono will take that position away if he gives it to him, guys.
Now, if the thing is, if Kono is weaving back and forth, that's using just a little bit more fuel, though. I'm trying to figure out what exactly he's trying to do by weaving behind him.
That director says he's playing some Japanese mind games on him, I think.
Potentially.
He's the ninja.
I still like the nickname Sleeping Dragon, guys. I'm sorry.
Sleeping Dragon is good, too.
That's a good one. He's certainly living that one out at the moment because if he saves that fuel, the Dragon will come awake at the end and he's going to be able to pass him.
Yeah, Mays right now really just trying to hang on. I mean, he's hanging it out there. He knows if he makes a mistake, Kono's going to take it away. I think he's also realized that Kono's going to stay behind him as long as he stays on the track. So, not really a battle, but just a battle of skill right now. Just making sure. And here we see Kono right up to his tail again, right on the tail of Mays. SpongeBob's got company.
This is a battle of wits, I would say. Who can outthink the other driver to win this thing? So, we never did get through that top 10, Bill.
Let's behave ourselves here. Let's go ahead. We'll do the Mustangs here. Out in front, Todd Hansarenko. Now, it's up to 24, 25, 26 sevenths. I can't even keep the distance, the speed. The interval is so big. We drop back to second place. Brian Straub back. He's got about 6 seconds on Dan Rash. So there's your top 3. Then it's way back. We go all the way back to fourth position. Sean Vandergriff running about 5 seconds ahead of Antti Tuominen. And then we go back to sixth place. Kristen who's running in next challenge? Yeah, it's back. Kristen Challenger is still racing, running in sixth position. About 19 seconds back to Liam Hackworth, who has come in for Ford. So Ford has made the switch. Hackworth there in that citrus-flavored car. Running in eighth position, James Alex Brown. All the way back to ninth spot is Anthony Woodward. And I think I'm going to round out here the top 10 with, who is it? Stefan Spantic running 10th. He's still on the lead lap, though. In fact, let me do all the cars on the lead lap. Go one more back. This last car on the lead lap is Nicholas Augustiniak.
Haven't gotten to talk about Nicholas and Steven or Anthony a whole lot, unfortunately, on this race. Those are some of our mid-pack and back marker cars running rather uneventful races, although our eyes haven't been on them, so maybe they've had some action we didn't see, but clean, and they're out there, and in fact, the cars look very clean. You can see Russell Ruddock there, are currently last car out running in the Mustangs, I believe, right now.
Let me give you the running order in ST here real quick, guys. Antoine Mays got that lead right now. Tomoki Kono right behind him. They are having a lot of fun with each other right now. Richard Losper still holding third down. That Asbury Motorsports entry having a pretty good run. Now Stefan Overgaard, teammate there. Asbury Motorsports takes second through fourth right now. Overgaard in fourth, and in fifth, Dexter Castro just behind him. Team Potato Australia, Ben Callow sitting back there in sixth, guys. And SAR Racing, Ernest Pretorius now in seventh, and the Torque Chicken Racing entry, David Whammond, sitting in eighth, guys.
Now we've got Steve Brown waiting to be interviewed. He is the teammate of Strodbeck, currently second place driver.
This will be good.
Yeah, this will be interesting to talk about. Steve, you surprised us a bit. We thought that you were anchoring since we had Strodbeck in the car, and then you pulled the wool over our eyes there.
Yeah, we played some strategy for qualifying. We figured Brian would have a better chance to get pole. Gives us 2 more points in the standings since we're getting up there towards the end of the championship here. So we decided to do a bookend, and it seems to be working out so far.
Yeah, definitely a clever way to go about it since you guys had to get full fuel here at the end. Now, we understand that Dan Rash in the 49 car is running a bit of a fuel strategy. Do you have any thoughts on that? Did you hear us talking about that?
I didn't have the broadcast up, but we could tell that Dan was off pace and definitely saving fuel. The good thing is that we have 1 extra lap compared to him and Todd, so we can go about 2.5 minutes longer than them, which is good for us. Right now, we think we're about a half a lap short, and that's only because of how far out Todd is out in front of us, so we might end up having to do that extra lap that you wouldn't normally count on. But if Todd doesn't save enough and he needs to pit, I think we should be good.
It's really been a fascinating one to watch from up here, and exciting, especially with that 3-way battle for the lead mid-race. Do you guys think you can get that checkered flag first, or how are your hopes?
Honestly, I think it all comes down to when the white flag flies and whether or not Torque Chicken needs to pit. We'll see.
All right. Well, thanks for coming and talking to us, Sean, and best of luck. Or Steve.
And I threw you off there. Sorry, Joe. Steve, good job out there, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
That was Steve Brown, co-driver for Brian Strodbeck, who's currently sitting in second place in the Turn 2 Motorsports machine in GS class.
See, now this is interesting. If what do you do if you're Todd Hansarenko? If you're Todd, if you think you're going to have to make another stop, you can run like crazy to increase your distance so that you can splash and go. But the faster you run, you risk actually getting to the start-finish line sooner, which could make you run an extra lap. If you slow down, not only do you save gas, but maybe you don't have to go as far. I don't know what you do.
And guys, just to show you how much Dan Rash is saving fuel, Antti Tuominen has moved into third place.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not so sure that Strodbeck isn't also on an early shift campaign as well. Well,
Now,
he said Steve Brown. He said he was a half a lap short. So
now,
yeah.
if you're Todd Hansarenko, though, you have to hope for a bit of luck. And I thought I heard a car hit something actually out there.
Yeah, it looks like looks like Ruddick, maybe.
Ooh.
So Ruddick.
Yeah, he's going very slow. Oh, did he blow an engine?
Yeah, it didn't look like he hit anything. He was going straight, and yeah, he must have blew up.
Yep, he did. Oh, bad day for Ruddick. He was the last Mustang out running, and he's in a bad spot. Guys, I don't think the
Hey, here you
marshals
go.
And it all goes on its head. This is going to make
Mays
things...
is in, guys. Mays is in. Mays is
Smart
bringing the
move.
cars in. Kono stays out, but Mays ducks that car right in.
Smart.
Is this a bad call by the AMS guys? They should have gone in. Who else? Richard Losper stays out.
Well, they don't know. They don't. Is a yellow going to fall? This is when you want to come in right now.
Or are they
Overgaard's
gonna
still
try and
making his way around.
Or are they going to... Is Kono thinking he's saved enough fuel?
And
Yep.
maybe Mays didn't want him to save any more
Ruddick.
fuel.
Oh, hold on.
Oh.
And marshals are talking to
He's still
Russell
out there.
Ruddick.
I mean, Ruddick is dead. Yeah, he's talking right now. Said I blew a motor. I can't move.
And there's the caution.
Oh.
Caution is out. Todd
Oh.
Hansarenko's 30-second lead is now gone. Strodbeck was running a little bit slower, but that was due to fuel. They should both be able to make it to the end. So I think we are going to see what will probably be, about a 20-minute shootout here for the end?
And Joe, I'm gonna pat ourselves on the back. I'm gonna toot our own horn. GSRC, we're on the money. We cover every incident. Where else would a car that blows an engine, running 4 laps off, running currently 21st overall, changes the whole complexion of the race?
12th place, actually, I think they were in.
Oh, sorry about that.
But
Guys, I believe Kono and Loss, that'll allow them to make it.
That's exactly what I was thinking, realizing they didn't make a mistake. He's been saving fuel behind him. They're going to get to the end. Poor Antoine Mays has not been saving. He's been pushing the air out in front of Kono. He had to make that call. Ooh, this is going to be very, very interesting, especially since Mays is going to be third, though.
What, did anybody get by him? I don't think they did. Mays managed to get back on track.
He splash and dashed it. I think
Yeah.
he got all the fuel he needed. Well, while the pace car picks them up, we are going to take a short break. We will come back and read off the order, since it's going to be a little bit shuffled up here, and we will hopefully take you to the very end of round 7 here at Elkhart Lake in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. Welcome back to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. You can see that the pace car is out, and it's our first caution of the day, and we only have about 22 minutes left on the clock. It has thrown a wrench in everybody's strategy. It happened when Russell Ruddock blew an engine coming into turn 5 and could not get himself close enough to an opening, and so they had to throw the caution so that the virtual marshals could go get his car. So currently, our leader in the GS is Todd Honzarenko. His 30-second lead has been cut down by the caution. Brian Strodbeck is in second. Antti Tuoman is in third. But the critical thing is Dan Rash is in fourth, and he has been saving fuel. So everyone wants to see if he is going to turn the afterburners on here in these last moments of the race. Meanwhile, in ST class, Tomoki Kono during the break got basically a free pit stop because he was separated, I believe, by the leaders. Same thing with Richard Losper. They are currently sitting first and second, both for AMS. Then we have to go back a ways a bit before we hit Anton Mays, who's sitting third. So between these three, it has been a battle for the lead, these three teams, for most of the race, and it is going to erupt once again with our last restart with only minutes left in this race.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about the pit stops with the MX-5s. Mays came in because he had a hunch that yellow was coming out when we had the blown engine. So he came in, but he had to do it in a hurry. He wasn't able to get fresh tires. Because of the way the pace car fell between the MX-5 leaders and with the Mustangs in there, how that kind of worked out, Losper and Kono were able to come in, not only top off, but get fresh rubber.
Which is really going to help them, but since Mays is basically on over hour-long tires.
Now,
interestingly, though, we're hearing that Richard Losper might have only taken 2 tires, though?
I heard him come on mic and say something about 2 tires. I don't know if that meant he accidentally took tires. I couldn't hear it really clear, but I did hear 2 tires come out of his mouth.
He was asking whether Kono had taken 2 or 4. So...
Well, Richard, I'll tell you, he took 4.
Ah, okay, there we go. So they both took 4. So there's that mystery solved.
Well, here's the deal about worn tires, with at least in the MX-5, the way I look at it. They make you slow, but they don't make you dangerous. There are some cars where if you're on old tires, it becomes really difficult to drive. I never found that to be the case in the MX-5, Sean. I just found it easy to drive, but I just couldn't go anywhere.
And guys, I'll tell you what, we're going to restart this race. It's really, they're having trouble getting this thing reshuffled, and had to throw the caution flag out again here, just another last lap back. But this is going to be a sprint to the finish, guys.
It certainly is. I think if they do only one more after this time by, it should be down to about 15 minutes. I'm not entirely sure.
This poor Ben Callow got a wave around, so poor guy has to drive now this whole course as fast as he can to try to catch up to the pack before they throw the green.
Bit of chatter going on the radio. I guess they're just sorting out the order of drivers in line.
The stewards do a lot of things. They try to separate the classes, and they try to give the. I think if you're a lap down, I think all the cars get their lap back. I think that's the way they do it.
You know, the steward is just such a thankless job.
It's a horrible job. It is.
You're not racing, you know?
And nobody ever says, "Great job, stewards." It's always the stewards. What are they doing, you know?
Well, they have put in a lot of hard work over many years in this series, and that's what makes it so unique. Not many road course series on iRacing actually throw cautions like this, but they're trying to make it as much like real life as possible. Now, let's watch the pace car here, because they're coming up the hill towards the start-finish line. Are they going to go off this time, or do we have 2 more laps to go? If it's 2 more laps to go, we might see 10 minutes, a 10-minute sprint here at the end.
About 4 laps. Yeah, the caution flag's back out.
And so then you start to think, Joe, okay, how many of these drivers are racing for championship points, and how many are here to have fun? So Honzarenko, his partner, is, I believe, in the hunt. Even though he may not be. So Strodbeck got a late start, but I think that, How aggressive do you want to be?
Well, if your partner's fighting for the championship, then you can't be too aggressive because you want a good finish.
Right.
And especially if your car, because that's the thing, is the car and the driver are different championships. So the car that you in might be fighting for the team championship, and you might, whoever's in charge of your team might be saying, just bring it home, just bring it home.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you're not fighting for anything. You just want that win. So it's a very, very much a mental battle for some of these guys.
Well, you talk about that battle. Losper is going to be in that position second behind Kono right there. He's going to be Kono's best defense. Probably going to be his job to, Kono's fighting for that championship. Probably going to be Richard's job to play good defense there.
They're still sorting the cars out because I'm looking at Losper and Kono, and they've got Mustangs on either side, which should not be because they split the classes at the start here, or the restarts rather.
Yeah, we'll see. If we're talking teams up in the Mustangs, that car the Hansarenko is in, that's fighting right now. That's the car that is in the lead for the team championship. You think of these things as cars, and then the Strodbeck car, that's third in points. So, yeah, these guys they're not just racing for themselves, they're racing for their team owner, I guess.
For their team, yeah. And Bieri is 8th in the driver championship. Hansarenko is 18th. Hansarenko really doesn't have anything personally invested in this thing. Both Hansarenko and Bieri race winners in the Conti series, so they at least have that. If they don't win and they get in a fight that they don't really particularly want to fight out here at the end of the race, they at least can know that they've already won races in the Conti series. Strodbeck and Brown are 3rd in the team and 11th and 14th in driver respectively. Keep in mind
over there on the MX-5s, it's Kono has that car. That's the car that is crushing. That's the they call them? The Australia. I can't
Austrasian
Australasian, whatever it is, invasion. Yeah, we're working on that nickname.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think you need a better one for that one.
It's a hard one to get out.
Keep in mind though that all of these positions are before the drop weeks, which are going to be implemented after this race. But our top contending cars in the team championship are pretty much all our top contending cars out there on track at the moment, except for I think Antti Tuominen's car.
Well, Sean, this is the kind of track where I think there's enough twisty sections that is going to be hard for Richard Losper to hang on, to let the draft help him. Yeah, it may help him down the straight, but he's got to be able to hang on through the technical sections to make that draft pay off. And Kono faking like he's coming in.
Yeah, he's done that a couple of times now. He's having a little fun. Probably got that second cup of coffee working through him and really feeling spry right now. But yeah, that's going to be Losper's battle right there, obviously, in the tighter sections of this course. But again, right now, I think Richard's biggest priority might be playing defense for Kono. So we'll see how that develops. And I know how badly Richard wants a win, but man, I keep thinking about that championship and wondering if that may be a factor here with that Asbury Motorsports team.
So over the radio, the order has been given to swap positions for Rash and Tuominen, since Rash's car is the one fighting for the team championship. So that is going to change once they get the green flag, which the lights are off on the pace car, although we're getting information that might not be the case. Let's see if we can get actual confirmation. Our spotter might be telling us jokes, which is not particularly helpful.
Okay. So just to clarify, Joe, that order came from 49 Motorsports, not from the race officials.
No. Yes, this is from 49 Motorsports. So we're hearing that that seems to be an official order that's being given by the team for those guys to switch. So unlike the first start of the race, the cars will all start at the same time. We will not have separate starts, even though the classes will be separated. So when the green goes, both classes go. However, it looks like already Kono is giving a little bit of space up to Alexis Molina, who's currently last in line in the Mustangs.
Well, yeah, Kono doesn't want to be caught up in any type of bottleneck that may show up from the Mustangs, even though they're going to be faster. It's conceivable that he could get there and be in a bottleneck situation with those guys.
Half a lap to go. This
Guys,
is why we usually don't like cautions around here, because they last a while. Go ahead, Sean.
You know who gets into this battle now? Overguard and Castro. Watch out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, a bunch of our Mustangs were fuel saving before this caution. Dan Rash was one of them. We think that Brian Strodbeck might have been saving just a bit of fuel. Now that is no longer worried. Everybody is going flat to the floor from here to the end, and it's going to be about a 10-minute dash to the flag, guys.
Couldn't we have just started here and had a 10-minute race with us?
It almost seems like it. And then we also have to think about Tomoki Kono, who was saving fuel and managed to even get a splash and dash. Same thing with Richard Losper. Order has changed there. Mays was leading the way for him. Now it's Kono up front. Can he stretch away? He's got his teammate playing rear guard for him. Is that going to help him?
The hounds are at the gate, Joe.
One more corner. Then the pace car is going to peel in with about 10.5 minutes on the clock. Hans Orenko leading the way. Strodbeck going to be right on that rear spoiler. Look at them closing in, waiting for that green flag. There goes the pace car into the pit lane.
Strodbeck trying to time it.
Up the hill they go. Green flag is out. Hans Orenko,
Good jump.
look at Strodbeck.
Good jump by Strodbeck. He timed it.
Incredible jump. He was already passed by the line. Hopefully that doesn't get him a black flag. Antti Tuominen with a great jump. Unfortunately, Dan Rash is going to be boxed in. Here comes Liam Hackworth. He's going to put him a position down if he can get this done. Hans Orenko holds on to second. Doesn't manage to get it done as Dan Rash is holding on the outside, but Liam Hackworth comes back with the speed. Dan Rash with the better braking, heading down into turn 3. Can he get the acceleration? Yes, he does.
Kono manages to get away. Losper holding second, but Antoine Mays coming quick. Time for Richard to play a little D here. Kono gets to the turn nice, but Richard right there behind him, making up a little bit of ground, but Antoine Mays is right there, and Stefan Overgaard making his way up in fourth right now, coming quick.
And boy, is it a mess going down into turn 5 with cars side by side in the GS class. Christian Challenger tried to challenge Liam Hackworth, unsuccessful. Sean Vandergriff was trying to get around Dan Rash, almost making contact through 6.
Rash got gobbled up there, and it really wasn't his fault. There was just a beehive of cars he couldn't get around.
Meanwhile, up front, Strodbeck not able to shake Hans Orenko. Both cars pushing in. Just behind them, Antti Tuominen. We didn't expect him to be the one in third trying to challenge these guys, but right now he is. And they are just streaking away from Hackworth.
Well, I know there were team orders, but in Tuominen's defense, there was no place for him to hide. He had to go, so he ended up in third place.
Exactly. We understand that Brian was, in fact, ahead of Hans Orenko at the line. However, they can pass before the line according to the CESCS rules. I'm not sure if he's going to get a black flag from iRacing itself. We'll have to watch and see. I don't think we would have seen it by now, I would think. Meanwhile, Hans Orenko really pushing that car, getting all kinds of sideways coming out of Canada corner.
Guys, Mays coming up on the bumper of Richard Losper right now. Kono getting away. Richard doing a good job right now of keeping that spread between Mays and having any chance to get to Kono. Kono is holding down first right now. Stefan Overgaard still making his way up, man. He is starting to close the gap. Watch out if Stefan gets there, man. He could still be a factor in this race.
On board with Antoine Mays. However, we have a pass for the lead, and GS Honzarenko is to the inside of Brian Strodbeck. Strodbeck did not go defensive. He's to the outside of turn 1, trying to hold on to it, not giving way. This is allowing third place driver of Tuominen to close in on the back of him. Now Strodbeck finally gives up the ghost, but they are 1, 2, 3, all line astern within a second in GS class.
Strodbeck did not close the door there. He left it open.
But he still fought around the outside, which
Yeah,
is interesting.
you know, I was thinking that too. I think he was worried maybe if I do close the door, he's going to have the momentum around the outside.
Word from the officials as Tuominen tries around the outside, down into turn 5. Strodbeck holding onto it, and Tuominen runs out of room and gets loose. Meanwhile, we have official word from the marshals that GS start was clean, so no penalty.
ST start looked pretty clean back here. Didn't really see anything out of the ordinary. Kono was able to break away pretty well, but Losper again, still that car in the middle right now. Mays just can't get around Losper right now. Really can't get to him.
And guess what? Ben Callow got his lap back after he had that disconnect. Look at Ben Callow up into fourth past Stefan Overgaard.
He just took that from Overgaard, man. That's wow. I'm impressed. Nice run there by Callow.
He could be back into this thing to help out his teammate Antoine Mays. Meanwhile, gap between Honzarenko and Strodbeck is widening. It is now 1 second.
Rash has gotten around Hackwith to move into 4th place. Big battle going on back there with the Mustangs now.
Oh, and we understand that Rash actually made contact with a car in the kink. In fact, look at this mess behind him. That's Christian Challoner side by side with Liam Hackwith. Hackwith holding on the inside through this fast left-hander, so he's going to take the position up into 5th. Battle's just all over the place on this restart. In fact, we're hearing it was a great save. I don't know if we have time to go back and look at a replay of that episode through the kink. Oh, and there it is right there. Wow. Just all the way out to the grass, and then you can see that started to cause things to erupt down almost 3 wide down into Canada Corner in the GS cars. Incredible.
Guys, Mays has found his way to the bumper. Richard Losper, they're coming up the front straight here. Mays looking to make a move here possibly. He's got the draft. He's going inside.
In fact, he's looking to the outside because Richard Losper is going defensive. Can he hold him off? He's going to have to try and slow him down to help his teammate out. Mays with just a nose ahead, under braking side by side, and Mays carries the momentum. What a move around the outside of turn 1.
Yeah, I think I'll stick to left side, right side. Sometimes I get a little mixed up on these road courses, Joe, but man, that was a heck of a move by Mays. Great job by Richard Losper, though. He really held him off as long as he could.
Callow has gotten into, is it Overgaard? Callow and Overgaard have gotten together.
They're in turn 3. Let's see if we can watch the replay and figure out what happened there.
Callow's gone all the way off the course. He's all the way off, guys. So's Overgaard.
Overgaard's going to get off too. Looked like no yellow.
Let's go back to a replay of Callow and Overgaard here. Unfortunately, that one I think was a bit on Callow. Here we go. Because I went back and looked at the replay. This is going to come out of turn 1. You can see Overgaard hot on his tails. Callow in the pink machine. Just goes wide, tries to keep his foot in it, and that was bad news. Weaves across the track. Overgaard misses him once, but doesn't get lucky the second time, and there's the contact.
And that moves Dexter Castro up to 4th, guys. Castro now in 4th. All alone in 4th, actually.
Meanwhile, Mays, as we said, has gotten by Losper, is a second behind Kono. He could probably get a whiff of that draft. The battle could still be on for the lead in ST.
Oh, we have another crash. It's the yellow car of Hackwith. Hackwith got connected, and he got collected also with Woodward.
And that was out of Canada corner. We're going to go to the replay of that one. Similar situation. Oh, we're going to see it just here. I just saw it on my screen. He goes wide, gets into the dirt. Similar to the wreck we saw earlier, off into the barriers. And poor Woodward had nowhere to go on that one. In fact, who was that car behind him making evasive maneuvers? Did a great job staying out of that.
Both cars are moving, so I don't think we're going to get a yellow.
We want to see this thing go green to the end. We've got 2.5 minutes to go. Hans Orenko still holding that gap about a second ahead of Strodbeck. Strodbeck is really going to have to start pushing to close in on him and get a chance for a pass. Here we see second and first place together.
Strodbeck is really good through turn 5. I think that's Hans Orenko's weakest corner of the track is turn 5.
Yeah, but he got a little loose on the exit. He was really pushing hard. It's about a second between the leaders in both classes, GS and ST.
Kono really on pace right now. He's back and forth across the track, really trying to break any kind of drafting hopes for Mays. Mays trying to follow, but every time Kono makes a move, he loses just a little bit more of that draft. Kono doing a really good job. Mays going to try to outbreak him here and close that gap a little bit. Can't quite do it. Nice, clean turn in by
Kono was way off the apex.
Yeah.
Oh, and that is definitely a time gained by Antoine Mays. Under half a second. The heat is on for Tomoki Kono. He's won the last 2 races. Can he make it a third in a row? Deliver a hat trick for AMS?
Remember, Mays is on about an hour's older of tires.
Kono, big moment for Kono. As we ride on board with Mays, I can't believe he kept that car together and didn't lose ground to Mays.
He is just hanging it out there, man. Getting maybe a little bit nervous. Got a mirror full of Mays.
Yeah, we're going to stay on this one. You'd think that Kono had the old tires, because right now the gap is stretching between Strodbeck and Hans Orenko. So here is right where the action is in ST.
And we're hearing the white flag is out, Joe.
We're on the roll bar of Antoine Mays, half a second back from Tomoki Kono. White flag is indeed out.
Stay on that battle, but Hans Orenko has about over a second lead.
And the gap is growing. Tomoki Kono has found his legs. It's back up to 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, and he gets off the last turn there really good, making that trip up the hill. Losper even starting to close maybe just a little bit on Mays. You see Kono making those moves across the track back and forth right now. Not trying to give Mays any chance to catch him here. The white flag is out. This will be the last lap for the ST class.
Desperately trying whatever he can to hold on to that lead. He's going to hope that Losper catches him and tries to slow down Mays further as they head through turn 1 there. Meanwhile, I can tell you that Todd Hans Orenko still has about half a lap to go. He's heading through the hurry downs now. Still, we see Tomoki Kono weaving back and forth and Mays staying exactly in his tire tracks.
He's certainly trying to. Kono's got to be smooth here because Mays is closing here. He's catching him. You know he's going to try and break it deeper.
Seeing what he can do. It's closing in. It's down to half a second now. He gained about 0.2. 0.3. Closing in. He's going to get maybe one more chance down into Canada corner. Hans Orenko, in the meantime, has about 3 corners to go.
Kono looking really good right now. Just got to keep it clean. That's all he's got to do. He can keep Mays behind him.
And we have to jump over to our leader. Brian Strodbeck was not able to close the gap. Todd Hans Orenko has about 2 seconds lead. He is going to win here, round 7 in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series at Elkhart Lake. It's Todd Honzarenko. Meanwhile, let's go back to our ST battle for the lead. Tomoki Kono has 4/10 over Antoine Mays. They're through the kink. The draft is going to pull him in. This is going to be the last opportunity. Mays is going to be pushing that car as far as it can go, all the way to the track limits. Closing in, down to 3/10. He's not close enough for a pass, though. It's going to take something major for Mays to be able to get the lead away. Through Canada corner, back up to 5/10. Mays losing ground. One more corner to go. Mays is going to have to hope for an incredible exit out of the corner if he wants to win this one. Through the final corner they go. Kono gets a good exit. Mays gets a good exit. It's not enough, though. Up the hill they go. He's going to start to reel him in, but I don't think he's going to catch him by the time they get to the line. Is it a hat trick for Kono? It is. It's 3 times in a row for Tomoki Kono.
Man, what a run by Kono. And a great run by Antoine Mays, man. He really did everything he could right there. He really did. I just don't think he had anything to get around him at all, Joe.
Oh, he pushed him the whole way, and I think Kono dealt with the pressure magnificently there at the end. We had a great race here at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, but we've got to take a break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Also, stick around because we've got our upcoming races on the screen, so don't go away. Welcome back to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We just witnessed round 7 in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series, and it was a stunner this time around. Torque Chicken Racing took the overall win. Turn 2 Motorsports just could not chase them down at the line in the final stages after the caution. 49 Motorsports D car came home in 3rd, and then the B car came home in 4th. Turn 2 Motorsports other car, the number 02 car, came home in 5th, followed by Blackadder's Motorsports number 66 car in 6th, Blackadder Motorsports number 67 car in 7th, appropriately. Klansman Racing took home 8th, followed by NRG Racing in 9th, Bill, and then rounding out the top 10 is Bad Cactus Green.
Now, there's one more car in that class. KLM Racing finished 11th. Then we get to the MX-5 class. Asbury Motorsports, car number 426. That's the Stevenson Kono car. They come home first. Team Potato Belgium in 2nd position for them. Asbury Motorsports, number 74 car. That's Losper and Ketchens comes home in 3rd position. 49 Motorsports, the Alpha team, comes in 4th. 5th for the MX-5s is SA-R Racing. Torque Chicken Racing number 2 finishes 6th position there. 7th position for that class, Team Potato Australia. In the 8th position out of Asbury Motorsports, the number 14 car in 19th. And rounding out the top 20 is a Mustang of Bad Cactus Racing, the white team. Joe?
Then in 21st, it's Turn 2 Motorsports ST car. That was Auger in that machine. Fortunately, did not have a good end of that race. 49 Motorsports E finished in 22nd. Then Slow Johnson Racing of the Mustangs in 23rd. And finally, rounding out the field is BWR Racing. We have some interviews to do. First up, we have one of our winners. Unfortunately, not Tomoki Kono. He's either taken a break for some more coffee or something. But we've got James Stevenson, the Australian driver on that team. James, you guys took home the 3rd one in a row for Tomoki. Is that the 3rd one in a row for this car specifically?
It's actually the 5th win in a row for Tomoki and the 3rd win in a row for this car.
Wow, that is some impressive dominance. AMS has just been on an incredible streak lately. In fact, sweeping the podium in one of the races prior. Is there just some secret to the MX-5 that you guys have figured out in the last couple races?
I think it's just that Tomoki, Sonny, and Richard just race the heck out of this car in the official series, and they know the ins and outs of it.
Now, we noticed that you guys were hanging back and not making moves on the Team Potato Belgium car towards the end of the race. I'm assuming that was to save fuel towards the end?
Yeah, without the caution, everybody was going to have to make a pit stop anyway, and we wanted ours to be shorter.
Well, that was some great racing from you guys and an incredible run up to the front, especially considering the damage you had early on. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you, guys.
That was James Stevenson, co-driver for the winning car in AMS number 426, actually. So we also have Antti Tuominen, who is in the 3rd place finisher for the JS car. So let's have Bill talk to him, pull him into the booth.
Antti, congratulations on a podium finish there. Let's talk about the very end there. Were you in a battle with your teammate Dan Rash? You decided you're going to hang on to that 3rd place finish, huh?
Sure, yeah, thank you.
There was some talk about some team orders letting him by. Hey, let me ask you a question. You're obviously very good. You're an above-average driver in here. Why do you think you do as well as you do? What do you think are the skill sets that help you do well in iRacing?
I don't know. I don't consider myself that fast. I'm in Team Finland races. I'm a mid-packer.
Well, that's true. You have to.
He's up against stiff competition.
Finland is tough competition to race in.
Yeah, we even ran some endurance races with the team called Slow Finns. Since we had all the fast guys were on other teams, so we set up a team for ourselves and we called it Slow Finns.
Why do you think Finland is so dominant in iRacing? Kind of racing in general, I guess. But does the weather or the climate up there keep you guys indoors? That's what always been my theory, that you guys have a lot of time to practice, or is it just in the blood that you guys are so good?
I guess the roots are in rallying. There's lots of
Right.
rally drivers and lots of countryside roads that people almost legally practice on.
Well, congratulations on your win today. We thought it was that yellow flag got you a few positions there at the end.
Yeah, actually it was a shame. I had enough fuel. I would have
Really?
wanted to go all green. Yeah, I've been lifting and coasting and saving fuel all race, so I had no worries there.
Oh, then that didn't come. That might have. Well, I think a couple of guys ahead of you were going to try to do it as well. So in the end, it probably all would have sorted out for you on third place anyway. Well, congratulations on the third place, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Joe.
Next up, we have the teammate of Steve Brown, who we talked to earlier in the broadcast. That is Brian Strodbeck. He finished in second today. Well, Brian, it was close but no cigar, I guess, for turn 2 today. You guys were definitely in the hunt for pretty much the entire race. But with that final caution, what do you think? Was that good or bad for you guys?
Well, it kind of worked out the way it was going to work out. After those pit stops, Todd pitted one lap earlier than us, so I knew, and we were very close. So I knew they weren't going to make it. So I was hoping, I knew I wasn't going to run him down. So I figured he might run out of gas, and I'd take the win, or we would take the win. But that caution came out and threw everything out the window.
How do you feel about this double driver swap method? Because it caught us a bit off guard, and we were talking to Steve about it. It certainly seems to work very well for you guys, unorthodox as it is.
Well, that was the first time we tried it, and it seemed to work good. We got the couple points for a pole position and a strong second place.
Very strong second place. This obviously will still help the Turn 2 Motorsports machine and the overall championship. Go ahead, Bill.
Let me ask a question. Brian, you were dropping quickly because you were saving fuel. How far back do you think you could? He got about 30 seconds ahead of you. How far back do you think you could have been to still let him splash and go and end up in front?
That is a good question. I have no idea.
we were watching him get away from you, and it was like, I don't know. It was interesting to watch you. Dan behind you, Dan Rash was also saving fuel.
Yeah, I think that was the first time I ever zoomed by Dan in my life, so I knew something was up.
Well, congratulations on almost a win, and I'm sure Amjad's happy. Got a podium finish, so we will see you next week. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong.
I was going to say,
sorry, I mixed that up there. Sorry. Well, he got a podium finish with Dan Rash. So congratulations, and we'll see you next time.
What do you mean with Steve?
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Joe. Thanks.
Lots of names to go through, right? Well, that is our last interview. That was, of course, Brian Strodbeck, second place finisher in the Turn 2 Motorsports machine here at Elkhart Lake. But we want to thank a few people before we go, and I'm having to pull a bill here and get the right paper in front of me. Obviously, thanks to Safecraft Racing, the official sponsor of the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. They make real-world safety gear for motorsports, so definitely go check them out if you ever actually take your car onto the real track instead of just the virtual one. Also, thanks to Wes Eric, the organizer of the league, and also all the marshals. We haven't thanked them enough. We mentioned that earlier in the broadcast.
No kidding.
Those guys really make this series special, and it's part of what we enjoy about broadcasting this league. Thanks to iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, Behringer, and Aver Media. They are the software and hardware that we use to make these broadcasts possible. Thanks to the team today, to Bill and to Giancarlo and to Sean. Unfortunately, he had to take off. He's getting ready to do his next broadcast right now, actually. We'll tell you about it in a moment. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. So if you like hanging out on social media, definitely give us a ping, because we love talking to our fans. And of course, we'll keep you up to date on what's going on in the world of our broadcast. Thanks goes out to Dougie Beard, who creates all the camera sets for the Global Sim Racing channel, and a special thank you to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who both provide music for our broadcast. You can buy Eric's music at iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Next race we mentioned a little bit earlier, that is Virginia International Raceway. That'll be Saturday, September 12th at 6 p.m. Eastern. Also, we have upcoming races on the screen, including one that's starting right now. That is the Bootleg Series. If you like short track oval racing, go check that out. Sean will be on the air with Samuel Ryman. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.